Welcome back, everybody. Once again, we'd like to thank our lovely, lovely crew for working on that new intro that will be shown at the beginning of every episode. Very exciting stuff. But let's get into some D&D now. Last we met, it was the end of the month Ilsedvala, the Slaughter Dawn, and the last day before the start of the Gloaming, or otherwise known as the Long Dark. A 6-month period where the gas giant Vero eclipses the sun, causing a harsh and dark winter. This day is known as the Festival of Lights across many cultures, as communities attempt to stave off the coming dark, bonfires, lanterns, and feasting. But there's a gloom over this year's festivities due to the war raging in the south between the Quintarchy and the combined forces of Honduras and the Gwyn Empire. Our heroes celebrate all across Gwenvalier. Timber and Curon settle their business in the haunted lands known as the Gosu Ruination, as they decide it is time for a reunion, perhaps. Wiswick tinkers at his new discovery, the arcane core, with Calra on her estate outside of Caerdolan. Excited to see his friends again, Wiswick rushes off into the night to look for Scarlet upon receiving a message from Curon. Scarlet herself is freezing in a cold prison cell to the sounds of merriment outside on the streets as she is forced to strike a deal with a mage wearing rusted old armor that does still seem functional, but looks like it could fall apart at a strong breeze. Cal lets loose a small fluttering lantern into the sky with his compatriots as he sits in the trenches of the front line. This evening, Curon sends out the call to gather as he and Timber leave Valen as their representative amongst the wild elves of the Gosu Ruination. In this process, Curon also attempts to commune with the god known as Hadric, or otherwise known as the Wayward One, a god that is seen more as a demon to most. Curon met him long ago, between worlds. Back in Caerdolan the next day, Wiswick scries in Scarlet and finds her leaving General Kinsley's estate. Once together, they say their goodbyes to Senric, master of the forge Scarlet has called her new home. They depart to meet their friends where it all began, the ruined town of Magicet. They trace their steps back to the beginning where 4 of the 5 meet. Before they could all meet, though, Wiswick questioned Scarlet about what she was doing at General Kinsley's estate. With a little bit of prodding, Scarlet decided to open up for once. She revealed to him that she was captured and imprisoned there over the last few weeks. And the conditions of her release were that she would aid General Kinsley in potential future operations to root out the Crimson Court, Scarlet's former criminal alignment. Wiswick encouraged her to be honest with the rest of the group, but Scarlet asked him not to tell anyone just yet. And as they were attempting to cook a lovely dinner, and they were struggling, there was a warm reunion as Curon and Timber found their way into Magicet. But under this same moon, many miles to the south, Cal was journeying over the visceral fields between trench lines. He was given one last mission before he could be discharged for the Long Dark, rescuing important captives from a Quintarchy holding. He led his soldiers through these dangerous fields, mostly successfully. And as they charged in to free these prisoners, victory looked assured at first, till a powerful Quintarchy battle mage arrived. Through the squelching heat of the enemy's magic and the screams of both friend and foe, Cal was able to defeat this devil. And as the smoke cleared, he found himself and only one other, his artificer Armin, to be the only survivors of his unit. They acquired the prisoners as best they could and started their journey back across no man's land to receive their discharge. Behind them lay death, fire, and ruin, but also many miles away, Cal's friends. The remaining Wayward Five began their journey to meet up with Cal. They found themselves approaching the front lines from the north, and they can see now, for the first time, the power of destruction at this scale. So, we'll start with the Wayward Four. Timber, Scarlet, Curon, and Wizard.
What's so funny about that?
The heroes of Magic's Head.
Yes. No.
My man.
But
Yes.
you all find yourselves. So when I say you're approaching the front line, I don't necessarily mean that you're right on it and you can see soldiers from here. You can see moving units of soldiers, and you can see the earthworks from an vantage point that you're in. But you have not approached anyone yet. I will say, for the sake of it, you are kind of up on a hill somewhere where you have a good view down. You've just crossed the river into what is technically Endurus, but right now this area is held by the Quintarchy. What would you like to do?
If we're up on a hill, can Curon look to find the easiest, best route through the lines to get to the other side?
Yeah, give me a perception check. What are the rest of you doing?
I'll cast Mage Armor.
Okay.
Looking at Q.
In I want this to become second nature eventually. I'll activate my bracelet and have the snake coil its way up my arm, just to feel secure.
Just in case.
Just in case.
How I mean, I guess I'll make a perception check for this, but how bad does it look? Does it look like there's a lot of bodies and stuff like that?
Yeah, give me a perception check.
Okie dokie.
Could I have, since we're all rolling perception checks, can I have Jet look out for Cal? Keep an ear out for him?
Yeah. From this vantage point, you're unlikely to find Cal. He's probably much further away from here. Because the thing is, you're not really looking at the Unduran line. You're looking at the Quintarchy line. So Cal wouldn't be in these trenches. He'd be beyond them.
I think I'd probably send Jet out anyway and just have him flying around.
Perfect. Here's a pen. All right. Curon, what was your perception check?
22.
And you're looking for the easiest way to cross.
And yes, so the one that doesn't have as many Quintarchy soldiers, that's safe, and yeah.
Okay. Timber, what was your perception check?
9. Rolled a 2.
Excellent. And Wiswick, what was Jet's perception check?
I didn't roll it. But actually, hold on. Yeah.
Wrong dice.
It's hard because I can't click on
One person gets ice cream. We all got ice cream.
While you're figuring that out, Wiswick, I'll resolve those other two rolls. So, Curon, when you're looking out, it's really complicated as you're looking at it because you have never seen siege works. You see, there are very clearly two main lines of earthworks that you can see kind of going beyond even your vision. And then you can see there's several zigzagging tunnels that lead between these two lines. There's one that you see there is a massive smoke plume coming from this one section that is like a tall pillar into the sky. You can see there is a road that seems to be leading back towards the river you crossed. And you can see there are several units of soldiers moving up that road back towards the Quintarchy. Um, you know, looking at it, it's really hard to determine like where soldiers are in the earthworks. You can see torches here and there, but it is a complicated mess, and you can see there's a lot of felled trees everywhere, and just like debris and rubble, like where there was probably once farmlands on some of this. You can even see like some like refuse of the crops poking out. You would see some burnt out buildings that were likely farmhouses at some point. As far as the safest way across, you don't see a break in the line. So you're gonna have to cross it most likely. Unless you were to hike up into the mountains to go around.
Which would add how much time to our journey?
I would say it would add at least an extra day's hike to get over and around. And you wouldn't 100% be safe once you got around the line. You would still be in the shit, as they might say.
Okay.
But you would at the very least not have to sneak through trenches.
Right.
Timber with a 9. You don't really know details. Like you're not seeing like piles of bodies because you're too far away. But it is a beast to behold. Because none of you have seen war. And none of you have really seen this kind of war. Earthworks have happened in past sieges of fortresses, but creating actual lines to prevent people from moving across a front line of a war scene is new. It looks very destructive, not just to the people involved, but like the land itself is mutilated. Where once this was probably a lush forest and farmland.
Timber's gonna take his black scarf, and he's gonna take some of his ingredients, the most potent smelling ones, and stick it closer to the snout and wrap it up.
Yeah.
Nice little air freshener.
Upon seeing this, Kieran nods his head and goes, "That's a good idea, just in case." And he raises his hand, and you can see a faint glow of magic, as if he has calm emotions paired.
Yeah, it's the best I could do.
It's a very good call. Jet does not hear anything with that 3 roll. Jet is.
It does get a +1, but I couldn't make it do that, so I guess.
Okay.
It doesn't matter.
It's okay. With 4, Jet. I think Jet's just a bit overwhelmed. The clearing of a lot of things is making it difficult for his blind sight to really bounce off of anything. He is mostly distracted and having trouble. With that being said, what would you all like to do?
Well, we have to get across, right?
Right.
And as far as my eyes can see, these battlements stretch from edge to edge of our vision. To go around would take days, maybe. To go through, to risk danger, but we have to get across and find Cal.
Do we have the means of magic to get?
I mean, we could do that, but I'm not sure what type of defenses are set up in these 2 armies. Perhaps they can detect invisibility, or maybe if the opposite side detects us, they might see us as a threat instead of an ally if they see us sneaking up on them.
Well, I think since we're not wearing uniforms, I think they're going to immediately think we're enemies, regardless.
Well, and Kieran's going to take out the old writ that the general gave us and look it over and see if there's like a timestamp on there or something, anything that says this works until the Quintarchy goes to war with its southern ally.
Oh, well, you notice there's a very specific clause in there. No, you look at it and it's pretty straightforward. Like the main use for it is to gain like refuge and be able to like sleep in the quarters and barracks of towns that you go through, and have access to their armories if necessary. As kind of the one thing you might think when looking at this is this may work on, say, some random lieutenant or
Right.
random foot soldier, but there's likely certain officers that know about what happened in the capital and know that there is a specific group of outlaws who assisted in the attempted assassination of General Kinsley. They would have put through that would have been spread across the lands that the one of the lords of Honduras attempted to assassinate General Kinsley with a group
Gotcha.
of soldiers. It was at least the story they told everyone.
Okay. Well, this may still work for some time to get us through. If we simply say we're on a mission for the general above their pay grade, you know how it is.
Do you suppose we should disguise ourselves before we go over?
Kieran looks himself up and down, looks at Timber, Scarlet, Wiswick. We're quite a crew. How exactly would you intend to disguise ourselves?
I mean, I have means of changing my hair color, but
Oh,
I don't know, just to make us less conspicuous.
I could look like anything.
Well,
That's
I
true.
I cannot remove this if we are to continue. Well, if I do, then we're just going to be at risk, which, you know.
right now I'm playing a little game in my head that I like to call "What Would Cal Do?" I think Cal would stride in with confidence, going past anyone that questions him, waving this writ, using a distraction, and Kieran's going to point down with his staff at the plume of smoke. I don't know what caused that, or what exactly is going on there, but something is. If we move through that area, there may be enough of a disturbance that we can get up and over the trenches and make our way across. Of course, upon reaching the other side, I'm not sure how we'll be received, but. And Kieran looks up at the sky. We'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Does the smoke that Kieran's pointing out, he's like saying something happened? Is it like, does it just look like stacks of chimneys that like maybe just be the
It's
war
a
camps?
it's a
Or...
massive pillar of smoke that seems to be coming out of a section of the earthworks that is ablaze, or was ablaze, at least. So like if you see like sort of like if there's a bunker there that is been just completely scorched, and today is like the day after the fire and it's still burning a little bit and it's mostly just black smoke. It's a very big plume of smoke. Like you'd be able to smell it in the air.
I like Kieran's idea, hoping that there's enough of a distraction, and if we need to create our own, I'm sure we have means of doing that on the way. I actually, looking at Timber, I have the smoke bombs you gave me. We could use one of those if we need to.
That only helps us in our immediate position, but it could get us
At
out.
least it's something.
It's a get out of jail card. This is a risk regardless, and we can't pay off people like Cal does here. No one cares about money, so
if that big smoke cloud is the distraction, shouldn't we try and cross the borders as far away from the smoke cloud as possible?
Well, no, see, that's what it is that there's already something happening there. There's already something to draw the attention. they'll be on alert, I'm sure. But if we were to be in some other section of the line, they would be more suspicious when we can just say that we were sent by Kinsley. And we're just coming in and out. We're gonna be quick. you
Maybe
know?
we're on like some sort of secret mission or something.
Yes, exactly. That's what I'm going for.
Well, the
Like
longer-
maybe running into the enemy lines to figure out, some enemy secrets, like some sort of Suicide Squad.
Look, to be honest, I don't know how I feel about being surrounded around enemies.
Sure.
I
Other
think
options?
Other option is to go around, take another day.
I think that will take too long.
What's the immediate?
We need to go see Cal.
But we also need to live.
And I think we're quite capable of that. But the longer we stand here, the more chances we
Let's
have
go
of
on the
getting
mountain.
caught.
Let's go.
I don't want to go on the mountain.
It's fine. Mountains are great.
No.
They have a lot of birds.
That's the weird part of the conversation. That's what's gonna really get me going to the mountains.
The birds!
Everyone knows Scarlett likes to do bird watching.
Yeah.
She's got her little bingo card with her.
Sean, I'm gonna cast detect magic, increasing the range of it. How far away would you say the war camps are?
I would say they're at least a mile away.
Well, that's unfortunate since we kind of nerfed this. I think once we Wiswick would say,
I think that it's Curon's plan is worth a try. If they do find us out, I'm sure that they won't devote too many resources to chasing us down, and then maybe we can try and get around the army. We're very strong and capable people. I mean, I could make a wall of force that'll just block them completely. So I have confidence we can escape if we get caught early on. So it's worth giving it a shot
Right.
if it means we can get to Cal faster.
No, it's
Wait.
not. That doesn't make any
Wait.
sense.
Let's put
Why?
it to
Why would we risk ourselves when we don't have to? That doesn't make any sense.
Why don't we put it to a vote?
No. Okay. All right. How about
Yeah,
let's go?
because
Let's
you'd
put it.
lose.
No. I
So
will
just a
live and you
reminder
will
of what
die.
you're looking at. There is the army between you and Cal. There are two options so far that you've proposed. There is infiltration of the camp, trying to persuade people that you're here on Quintarchy business, and then there is an extra day and a half hike through the mountains where their line ends, which will take a little bit longer, but you would potentially, most likely bypass any encounters with Quintarchy soldiers.
Curon looks to Timber. You really think it's better to go through the mountains?
Yeah, it's like time traveling.
Well, when you
It's
put it like
nothing
that,
like time traveling at all. Tim.
Yeah, don't you know in D&D, you just travel far distances, it's like time traveling.
Are
Just
you
kidding.
drunk?
Do you mean fast traveling?
Yeah, fast travel. Yeah, I was kidding. It's stupid.
Can we make a decision, please?
Okay, look. If we go through there's most likely dead bodies in the trenches, and that is not good for me. I'd rather not.
it's true.
Why didn't you lead with that?
Because the other ones were more important.
All right. To the mountains, then.
All right. So, as you prepare to hike up the sides of the mountain and avoid the trenches below, you would notice, and I know, Curon, you were kind of looking up at the sky. It is an overcast day. It's currently light availability is probably similar to an early sunrise. There's bands of gold at the horizon, but it's mostly dark blue. Even looking down at the camps, it's about midday for you all, but it feels like it's sunrise that you're looking down at all of this. Because as you look into the sky, at least behind the clouds, you do see that most of the sun is blocked by this point, since it is approaching the end of Learglom. The only light you see is kind of like almost as if the sun itself is a crescent moon behind the clouds. It starts to lightly snow as you start to make your movements. Somewhere, some miles away, this same snow is falling on Cal. Now, Cal, you are essentially just getting back to the line where you were before. It is you and Armin, and you have 3 prisoners that you captured, or not prisoners you captured, prisoners you rescued. You see one of them, they're all in varying levels of armor. Some was stripped from them. One of them is a very young, handsome man, but he has kind of, scruff on his face that normally is clean shaven. You can tell just from how little has grown. He has long hair that comes down to probably his shoulders. It is brown in color. He's very vibrant blue eyes. He looks, to you, Cal, at least, you assume he might be highborn. Very simple clothing. The hair is a little lighter than brown. It's probably a dirty blonde. They all look like they've had pretty bad treatment. One of them, you see, has no hands. His hands have been cut off. And he's very, very out of it. He looks like he's probably a bit younger, closer to your age than the other guy, who's probably in his 30s, early 30s, maybe 30, 31. The third one looks like an older soldier. He's got some scars, gray beard, gray short trimmed hair. It's hard to tell if any of them are magic users or what their positions were or what kind of weapons they had, because they have none of their weapons. They just have some scant armor on, but they're following behind you as you and Armin have been leading them through the no man's land for the last day or two, and it's been pretty much a dead silent journey. You just didn't share stories over a campfire during this time, so you didn't really get to know who they are yet. This snow is starting to come down and collect amongst the muck around. It mostly melts when it gets into the mud itself, but it's starting to accumulate on some of the ruined, burnt-out trees and carts and horses and bodies. You approach the trench line, and of course are let in with no issue.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I was about to be like, what was the password, Sean? Did we agree on a call out? I don't.
Oh, you did the appropriate call outs, and they bring you in. What do you do?
Take off my helmet for the first time in a day and a half or 2 days or whatever, and probably deep breath, and then immediately regret that, but still necessary. And then I'll turn to the nearest trooper, not one of mine, obviously, just nearest person, and be like, "How far down the trench are we? Where's the Ferrum Tress office? It wouldn't be an office. The dugout."
And you see, it's just sort of this foot soldier who's got layers of clothes on or under their armor, and they're just kind of shaking as they're smoking a pipe. About a mile down that way.
I just nod to him, and then I motion to my crew to come with me, and I guess I'll start going. Well, glad we could get you guys out of there. Sorry it took a couple days, but we had to move relatively slowly. That last little engagement there was probably pretty attention grabbing, unfortunately.
You see the old man doesn't really pay you much mind. He looks the most paranoid of the three, and he's just kind of like looking around quickly, peeking up, looking at the trench line. The man with no hands does not speak at all, and the only one who really talks to you is the handsome man.
Yeah.
Does
he have any insignia on him?
No insignia.
Like, can I tell if he was okay?
He's wearing like. Give me an insight check real quick.
6.
He perplexes you.
Okay.
Because he's got the armor, like the clothing and commissioned armor and uniform of like a foot soldier. But he does kind of come rushing up to you at this point. He says, "You're Feramtres."
Yes, sir. I'm the 9th in Cursus.
Excellent. Seems like you lost a lot of men back there.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate the sacrifice for our lives.
And apologies, what was your name, sir? I'm Lieutenant Stormrain.
Private Griff.
Well, glad we could get you out of there, Private.
Of course. Will you be taking us to the Feramtres dugout?
Yes, we're on our way there now. We have to make... I know where we are at this point. We have to make our way up a slit trench ahead, and then there's a cut trench back, and then we have to get over that way.
Brilliant. Well, you're brave.
Thank you, Private.
Yes.
So this man is confusing, and I assume he's lying to me, even with his insight of 6. I think just inherently, Cal would be like, okay.
I'd say there's a passive understanding that there's some falsehoods here.
Yeah, because also I wouldn't have been sent to rescue him
if
he was just some random guy. Can I assume that the guy with no hands is a magic user, and he's probably had his tongue cut out as well?
Yeah, that's a good assumption.
Yeah. Well, then I'm not going to press him for any details, and I'll just feel bad.
He's likely a young wizard that was probably doing some kind of some kind of infiltration of his own, likely that he got caught in. Young magic users in the Gwyn army tend to be illusory magic and those sorts of things. So you, by this point, would be able to understand he was likely some sort of spy.
Yeah. Yeah, so I would just continue to make my way over to that dugout and find Arcos.
Fortis.
Arcos Fortis. Thank you.
Yeah.
I knew it was an F.
Yeah. It's at this point there's no real danger. So you're able to move a bit quicker, and you find your way there. The thing that you would notice is that it's just it's mostly the skeleton crew now for the Long Dark. You're not seeing a lot of soldiers. You're seeing just enough to man the different dugouts. And you see leadership has left an abundance of supplies for these men and women, where they are covered in cloaks and things to keep them warm, and they have no shortage, as you can see as you move through, because they don't want to have to send more. They want to be tight supply lines that are not easy to thwart. But anyway, you start making your way towards the Feramtres dugouts. You would see this is probably the last one that still has most of their people there, and they're leading the retreat or finishing up the retreat of those who are discharged for the winter. They're packing up. They're getting as much as they can to head out. Of course, as you know, Arcos Fortis is staying here. You would easily find him in the officers' quarters, and it's just him in there, and with a lantern and some maps of the lines that he's analyzing at this point. He turns around and sees you, and at first has a very large grin, and then of course fades as he sees the condition of you. Lieutenant, you've made it back.
Arcos, yes, mission success. Eliminated one magic, I believe a mage, and certainly one battle mage. One of the cross-slit helm folks that we've been finding.
Yes.
We retrieved 3 of the prisoners who are waiting outside for a debrief. I didn't pick much of their brains. I lost my unit's fundamentally not effective, sir. We're down to just myself and my artificer. Everybody else, unfortunately, was KIA, which probably wouldn't be a thing we'd say in a medieval fantasy world, but
No.
everyone else was dead, sir.
No. A grave loss, of course, Lieutenant. But you were successful. These are important prisoners.
One of them a private griff, sir. I think you may want to speak with him first.
He gives you somewhat of a knowing smile and says, yes. Perhaps unbeknownst, or I'm sure you saw through, he is not a good liar. He is one of the more important ones. I'll speak with him right away. For now, rest up. I will speak with you soon after I have settled the prisoners.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And I would turn on my heel, give him one more salute, turn on my heel, and leave.
Yep.
I'd find Araman,
Yeah.
who I assume is just outside.
Yeah. He's actually, Armin is right now is kind of like awkwardly inspecting the prisoners. Just sort of like he's opening up their pockets and putting his hands in them and pulling out to see what they have. And just, they really did take everything away from you. It's so important about you. Open your mouth. And you see the mage who definitely had his tongue cut out is glaring at him.
Yeah. All right, that's enough. Gentlemen, the Arcos is ready for you. Please just enter here. And I wave them through.
And they nod to you. Private Griff giving you a one last smile. I was just inspecting them. You don't know what they had on them.
Look, we're on stand down for now. Go get some rest, and I'll come get you when we next receive orders.
Yes, Lieutenant. And you see, he just pulls out a pipe and just immediately starts trying to light it up and wanders away.
Cal now walking slowly, no longer like with any purposeful stride, not wandering, just like trudging maybe is the right term. Would go to find a convenient place to sit and or dugout, and he would sit down. Regardless, it doesn't matter who's there, just as long as there's a free spot, you know. He would just sit down and loosen his armor. It's not off, but like he loosens the gorget and the little bit of the straps on the side. And he'd take out a little pouch, and he'd fill a rolling paper, and he'd roll up a cigarette, and he would just light it and just sit there, not even really like puffing on it. It's just kind of lit, and it's just kind of hanging from his mouth, and he's just maybe eyes closed, just sitting there.
Yeah, absolutely. You feel that cold winter breeze brush over you, where everything is very, very quiet. No bugs, no insects, just the wind. And we'll cut back to the rest of the Wayward Four as you start to trudge up this mountainside. Is there anything you'd like to do as you're trudging up? Essentially, you're climbing up. It's not so steep that you're doing legitimate mountain climbing. You're mostly just ascending the base roots of the mountain to try and avoid any patrols and where the line actually ends. As you're moving through, if you move through quietly, and I'll ask everyone to give me a stealth check for the beginning of the journey, because you are still on the lower portions of the mountain where there may be Quintarchy patrols.
Are there rocks, stones, perhaps?
Yes, there are.
Thank you.
You're finally in a position where this is you got your advantage the whole time.
Sean, I have a question for you.
Sure.
This entire time we are going, is there like sections of safety and then sections of like, hey, we'll probably need to be quiet here? Like, is it obvious where there will be Okay.
If you're keeping your eyes out, there will be obvious moments where, like particularly for the earlier parts of this journey, when you're not up high enough to kind of be away from the line itself. Your goal, really, I imagine right now, is to get as far away as you can without getting too dangerously high on the mountainside,
Okay.
so that it would be difficult for them to spot you.
All
Where
right.
there's more tree line still, and easier places to hide if you were to encounter any kind of patrol. You suppose that is likely some patrols of this outer forest area because it is a somewhat of a weakness in their defensive area.
Okay. And areas that or like spots that I would think that, okay, we have to be quiet here, I would cast Pass Without a Trace.
Okay. Then I will allow you all to put that 10 onto your current rolls. Shannon, what'd you get?
39.
Nice. Kieran, what'd you get?
14.
Thank God for Pass Without a Trace.
Yeah.
Wisbek, what'd you get?
32.
Nice. And Timber, what'd you get?
23.
Okay. So you are moving through. You're ascending the mountainside from the cliffside or the hill that you were observing. You're keeping eyes still on the line. Like you don't go too deep into the forest at first because you want to have eyes in case there are patrols. And there would be a point when you are just beyond the forest line and you do kind of have to slow down significantly because you start to hear voices beyond the tree lines. And Scarlet, you are walking and you immediately hear them first. Kieran, you hear them too. But Scarlet, you would immediately grab Kieran because you notice that he is like about to walk out and be in the open where they are, and you pull him aside up to the back of a tree. You all kind of stop and find your spots. Wiswick, you're laying low to where the rocky soil is, and you just hear there are probably, your best guess, maybe 4 or 5 Quintarchy soldiers that are about 30 feet away from you.
What are they saying? Can we hear them?
If you'd like, you can do perception checks to try to hear them.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Do I really need to do it?
I got an 18.
Okay. Kieran, what's your passive again? 28?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
So I just rolled a 25. So like.
You just rolled a 25.
Kieran, you just hear exactly what they're saying. Scarlet, you hear most of it, but it's every other word sort of, you miss one or two, and there's maybe one person you can't hear of them. They're mostly talking about the winter retreat, and they're talking about a few of them are complaining because they're on the first winter rotation and they have to stay on the line, while the other two are clearly they're getting to go home, and they're fighting. It sounds like literally like they're in this spot because one guy stopped and started peeing on a tree, and they're just sort of smoking pipes, and it's very casual. They are not paying attention. You could easily move past them. You do hear them talk briefly about what happened at the smoke plume, as you hear them say, "Oh yeah, some of those, what they call them, the Therum Trace, whatever they are, those mage killers were sent across the line. Yeah, the mage blew up the whole dugout." Killed his own men. That Unduran boy hadn't killed him, he probably would have been hung for that. Yeah, well, they're keeping closer eyes on the crossing now. I think they're gonna. Last I heard, they're gonna launch some fire bolts over there to clean out those trenches, cripple them before their retreat. And that's mostly what you hear. There is some kind of attack that's going to happen on the Unduran line sometime soon from a distance.
Huron makes eyes with his allies and go, you guys hear that?
Wiswick's going to use new cantrip message Huron, and telepathically in your ear, you hear Wiswick say,
I didn't hear anything. What the hell are they talking about?
Is message like cantrip where I can respond back?
yes.
Huron relays the information. And I'll roleplay that now. It seems like they're just bitching about the winter, and they are planning an attack on the Unduran line soon. So the quicker we can get over there, maybe if we have word of an attack, more likely to let us in.
Do you want me to immobilize them? Maybe we can take a prisoner?
No. I think it's best we make it through here without creating any kind of a disturbance. That was the point of going around. It was either no disturbances or just one big one of crossing, which actually turns out would have been a very bad idea. I think it was a good choice to come around, though not as dramatic.
Thank God Timber can't hear this message.
Yes.
How cold
So-
is it, Sean?
It's
Very
very cold. It's very cold.
Very, very
so
Can you
it's,
quantify that for me?
How many
yeah.
colds?
How many colds? It's probably in the teens Fahrenheit.
Ew.
Probably maybe.
Can
like
you convert
14
it to
degrees
colds
outside.
for us?
Colds. How many colds is it? I'd say it's about 4 colds out of.
Wow. Okay.
No, wait,
That's-
no. It's like 7 colds out of 10.
All
Like ice cold. How many all rights are there?
Now,
It is.
fellas, come on.
It is still snowing around you, and it is accumulating. So the ground is getting slicker and a little harder to stealth around in. But you could easily make it past these knuckleheads as they start to
Doink.
walk away. And this is where you can kind of like you can see where their line is and where it kind of ends, where the trenches end, and there's a small fortification there, a very small fort. This is where you start to ascend to try to get out of sight of the fort's towers and any patrols that might be up in those reaches. So I'll ask you to give me one more stealth check.
Still pass without a trace.
Yeah.
42. I rolled a natural 20.
Oh, wow.
12. 13.
I rolled a natural 22.
Yeah, mine's better.
Oh wait, am I rolling also?
Yes.
Are you?
Are you a part of this
staying?
group?
I'm
We stay
having
behind.
fun just not percepting anything.
We're rolling stealth.
Oh, okay, never mind.
All right. So, Kieran, what did you get?
13.
And Wizbeck, what'd you get?
I rolled a 9, which is gonna be a 22, but I'm gonna re-roll because I have advantage. But if 22 takes it, go ahead.
Okay. I'd say again, you kind of have to, work with Kieran to get him to stealth properly.
I got him. I got him.
grant me disadvantage anymore.
Kieran's not used to being able to blame his armor, not being able to blame his armor. So he really never developed how to stealth because he always knew he was going to get caught. And now you're giving him a few pointers as Timber and Scarlet help him through while Wiswick is good on his own. But you are able to get away from the fort's vision. You are able to avoid it, and you are starting to hike up the mountain. It's taking this whole leg of the journey took you most of the day to not only get to where the actual line is, but also then to stealth properly and then start to ascend the mountain. So it's getting dark out now, and you're likely going to have to camp soon.
Well, let's get as far away as we can in the safest way, and then I will shelter us all in Ilyvani's tiny hut.
That sounds
Okay,
good,
I was
Kiran.
just about to ask if we could have the hut.
What time is it?
I'd say about this time it's about approaching 8 o'clock.
Let's go for about an hour more, just to be sure.
Right.
Okay.
Wiswick's gonna cast when it's time. He's gonna cast telekinesis, and he's going to be slowly gathering like foliage or like stones or things that he can use to possibly cover the hut to camouflage it as we sleep.
Okay. All right. So you could easily enough do that over the next hour. As you guys trek up the mountain more, it's getting colder and colder as you ascend. There's snow. There's starting to be just snow that was on the mountain at this point. So it's getting deeper as you're going up. Are you looking for a particular place to bed down?
Somewhere that's tucked in. If there's overhangs on the mountainside, or like thick corpse of trees, corpse bed in there, as it were.
Lower elevations, just in general.
Yeah, you're able to easily enough with your particularly looking for that. You can find that. Like you're in kind of not dense forest, but there is some cover of and you would be able to find some trees that you could, like you described, and you'd be able to find them kind of in a somewhat ridge where you might be concealed from anyone looking up. And you can rest for the evening. You can sit down the hut.
All right, very good.
I imagine everyone inside the hut starts to like clear away snow from inside the hut.
Yeah,
Hucking it
I'll
out.
do. I'll do produce.
Well, you
flame
just
so I
turn the
can melt
heat up.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't
Yeah.
it naturally warm in there? So like the snow would just kind of like melt.
Yeah,
It's
I mean, but
naturally-
do you want to like
I'll help it along.
sleep in some water?
No.
Yeah.
Mud?
Yeah,
No.
of course. Pick
No,
up the
what?
water, throw it out.
Okay. In some way you clear away the snow, either by letting it melt naturally from the
Towels. Just lots of towels.
yeah. In Kieran's bag of holding, he just has 20 pounds of towels.
He's prepped for this. Towels and rugs. He throws down towels, then towels, then towels, then rugs. And it's dry.
Okay, is there anything you all would like to do before resting for the evening?
How good of a job do I do covering it up?
Give me a survival check.
Oh,
If anyone
I
would like
don't
to
roll
help
one of
him, you
these in a
can.
while.
I will.
I will help.
You can't help because you just have to stay inside the hut.
Can
So,
I help
Tim,
him from outside and be like, no, I think I can see?
Or I could be like, visit the omen to do this. Do you know what you're doing?
I am a strong, independent gnome. And I don't need
But you can get advantage with Scarlet and Timber helping you.
I didn't say I was helping.
Okay,
Oh,
I thought I saw you raise your hand.
No.
You're just moving your sleeve.
It's
Sorry, Timber, you can
not.
help then.
I
And if
rolled
you'd like
an
to
18.
make a
You want to make a roll, or do you want to do? Let me make a roll.
okay,
I
go
got a
ahead.
+4 to survival.
I got +7.
Oof.
All right, well, go for it.
I
Timber,
got
you can roll
22.
as well. Okay, both of you would like. We could also do perception checks while you're out there. Just for
Okie
looking
dokie.
around. But for the most part, it's pretty good, especially with Timber helping out. Like it's like if anyone like walked up on it, they would not. They would be like, that's just a bunch of sticks and rocks covering a clear magical bubble. But from a distance, it does conceal the dim glow, and does make it harder to find in the forests. And how about those perception checks?
That is a 23.
Okay.
Jet
was-
got a 10.
Jet got a 10. Okay. So Jet is looking around and gets really paranoid and suspicious of a shape in the distance. And as he gets closer to it, and you're mentally sending the message back of there's something out there, he discovers it's just a dead tree. Timber, with your what was it, a 23? You said.
Si, senor.
Okay. You can peer out, and you can even step a few feet away from the camp if you want, up the kind of cliffside that you're hiding behind. You can see like the fires throughout the trenches. It's like these points all across, because you can see pretty far from up here, and you can see all the torchlight down there. And it's a very interesting thing to look at a war camp at night with all of the different points of light. It's like looking at a city from a high tower. And as you're watching, you can hear some sounds echoing from below, but you hear a very loud the sounds of trebuchet. And you see in the sky these large fireballs flying across the sky, like meteorites falling to the earth. And they seem to break apart into dozens of little points of fire. And it's somewhere in the distance beyond your real vision, and you more so see it through like fog and snow. As probably like 25 fireball spells just went off in a line of trench across in the Unduran line.
My God. Timber's going to get back. Let's see. Let's get back inside for a sec. Right now.
But I didn't make my snowman yet.
I don't care. We can do it from afar.
I was just joking. Yeah, let's go inside.
Okay. So you're all safely within Ilivania's tiny hut. You're safely warm in there, comfortable, bedding down for the evening. Is there anything else you'd like to do before?
Just
Maybe. Go ahead.
No, Timber would just mention what he saw outside.
Oh? I mean, I was going to say maybe we want to warn Cal, but sounds like he already knows.
This doesn't look new.
Do you suppose that was the attack that we heard them talking about?
It must be, right?
They said fire, and that sounds like fire to me.
It sounded like they were talking about the night prior, but I could be mistaken. And
Maybe we should talk to Cal anyway. See if he's more willing to chat.
And just tell him that we're closer.
I can send a message.
Before you send that message, I do just want to update Cal's situation with this napalm attack that just happened. Cal, it is not hitting your area of the line, but
Okay.
you would have seen it, of course. This has happened before. It's essentially, you know that this is when they fill trebuchet missiles with a whole mess of those like the same thing you used that Araman gave you. Essentially, they just fill up a clay pot and it's just filled with them, and they just launch it up, and it just and as they activate and shatter, they just scatter into a long line that can pretty much consume an entire 100 to 200 feet of trench line.
Yeah, so I guess then there's a shot of this goes off, the screaming starts. You view the side of a trench where there's a tarp hanging down over it. Cal comes out, looks around, and then goes looks around, makes sure that everybody seems to be all right in his area, and then goes back to sleep.
Yeah. The protocol here would be you do not go over there, because there's either potentially an attack happening, or everyone has their own protocol for how to deal with these attacks.
And right now, mine is sleep.
Exactly. And maybe keep a wet tarp nearby.
Yeah, there's just buckets
Some-
of them probably
there's-
places. Just
Yeah,
hanging
there's
out.
just buckets and there's and just like wet animal hides all over the place.
Yeah, it smells real good down here.
Yeah, it's real gross. Yeah, not only it's the smell of rot from the wind coming from the no man's land, and then just wet animal hide everywhere. As
And
people
just
are,
people. It's
and yeah, and just
it's a
messy
shit amount of
people.
just fucking people. Yeah.
Yeah, but you would see like you would know like to immediately pour a bucket over your tarp. But if you'd like to send a
Meant to
message, you
have
can.
it freeze immediately.
Better than a dry tarp.
Kieran
So
sends
what?
a
I have to
message.
kick my way out in the morning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it will be hard in the morning to get out, but at least if a fireball hits, it'll protect you a little bit for an extra few seconds that you can get out. But if you'd like to send a message now, Kieran, this would be the time.
Caliph, we've arrived behind Untduran lines and are passing Oxlandish lines, and we're going around. Yeah, that's right. I messed up, so now you have to restart your count. It's throwing you off. And you're like, what
I
is he
also
even
figure
doing?
you're probably doing sending plus.
Yeah. I'm about to take a long rest. I'm sure it's fine. We arrived behind Oxlandish lines today and are taking the journey east or west.
You are currently passing over the Western Mountains.
To the west through the mountains to reach the Untduran line. Timber just informed me of a massive fireball attack. I hope that wasn't aimed at you.
Does sending wake you up? Because Cal, when I'm saying Cal's back asleep, it's like,
Yeah.
huh? Okay.
Give me
boom, done.
yeah. Let's do. Give me just a quick Constitution check.
Just like raw Constitution.
Yeah. Or let's just say it's a Constitution saving throw
Okay, that's
against Kieran's spell save.
But I rolled like shit because you're making me roll digitally. 9.
You got so
You
many nat
fail.
20s last session. You are woken up by the voice of Kieran penetrating your mind.
Okay. Cal rolls to his feet again and gets his gear, like is belted on all of a sudden, like his sword, like bang, all the like within one motion is how that would be. And then I realize who it is, like what it is. And I go, Jesus. And I take off my belt again and I sit down. And I guess I would respond with, okay, well, where are you headed? Good luck, I guess.
Cal, we're coming to get you. I told you, we need your assistance to the south. The threat of the Pallid King looms ever larger.
Okay. You're gonna have to wait till my leave starts, I guess. This would be in Cal's voice. Sorry, this is like Tim's brain. You'll have to wait till my leave starts, I suppose.
Which is how long?
You know, that's a great question. One that we should ask the DM. It didn't really have a start time on it. It was more like when they say I could go, I could go. Is that right?
Yeah. It's the sort of thing where you're assuming Fortis will come and dismiss you. You're not sure.
I
It
would
could be within a
respond
week,
with-
maybe.
soon-ish. I would say maybe a week, 2 at the outside.
Well, maybe when I make clear the situation we're in, they'll see light and release you early. Regardless, we have much to catch up on.
All right. Cal didn't believe, like, he was like, I don't believe that this will change anything. And so, sure, man, do whatever you want, kind of. And
You would sense
I
an
would like
ambivalence
to
in
sleep.
his
I've been
voice.
awake for 72 hours. I don't say that, though. I end it with a, sure, good. Sounds good.
May the moon watch over you. Sleep well.
And with your spirit.
None of that Zendarial crap around here, Caliph.
Okay. So, you guess from what you saw, Timber, that you're likely about a day and a half from the Unduran line, hiking through the mountains and down, back down. But if there's nothing else anyone would like to do for the evening, you will get your rest.
I would like to talk to Kieran once the other two have fallen asleep.
Yeah, easy enough to do.
Wiswick
has-
stays up talking to his core, so it takes a long time, and it frustrates her just a little bit before he falls asleep.
Yeah, I can imagine, Scarlett, you're very, like, you've heard these children's stories he keeps reading to the core so many times, and it is it's very frustrating. But eventually Wiswick would fall asleep. I imagine he's got the core in his lap and he has the book in front of the core, and he just like falls asleep with the book like this.
Mhm.
Aww.
I'm drooling on the core a little bit.
So sweet.
And Timber, I'm assuming, is just gonna fall asleep.
Oh yeah. He's gonna take that scarf off, cause, good God, it's itchy
Instinct.
and stinky by now. Yeah.
Yeah, you would be a little lightheaded by the end of the journey of all the chemicals you poured into the scarf.
Yeah.
But Scarlet and Kieran, you are alone.
So I imagine Kieran's in a meditative prayer pose.
Mm-hmm. Kieran,
Still
you-
awake?
Oh.
Yes.
can we talk for a few minutes?
I assume you wish this to be privately, he says as he looks at the passed out form of Timber and Wiswick.
She nods. Yeah, I something happened while we were apart, and I wanted to ask you about it.
Of course. My ear is yours.
Well, after Wiswick and I went and recovered his core, looking over at Wiswick, cuddling the core, we went to my home. We went to Cindermire. And while we were there, I guess you could say I got some closure after everything that has happened there. And we found this. And was that cinder lily that I found, was that encased in anything, or was that just by itself? There was a scarf.
There was
a
there
scarf, right?
was a striped scarf that was
Yeah.
black and red, and a cinder lily.
Okay, so I'll pull that out. We found this at my forge where I grew up, and Wiswick did some magic on it, and he was able to see a woman. I would know that's my mother, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I just wouldn't have any sort of attachment.
Yeah,
Okay.
you would know that this person is truthfully your mother, but
Yeah.
you'd have no memory of them.
Yeah, okay. I didn't see her, but Wiswick saw my mother. And I remember what you were saying about memories being lost, and I think she's some of the ones that I don't remember. So, what I wanted to ask was, is there a way that we could get them back? I want to remember her. Especially since she knew to come place this farewell at our forge.
Before we were attacked by the Crimson Assassins at Kinsley's Manor, I had reached out to Iluvania for the memory of her and asked if it was possible to regain lost memories.
What did she say?
It is possible. I had started to do some research into it, but upon Caleb's death, I thought it best to not look into it anymore. Of course, now that you don't remember her, but now that you know of another lost memory, maybe the joys that brings you will balance with the sorrows of Caleb's memories.
I do so want to remember her.
Of course. Yes.
I'll help you. I don't know what assistance I could be, but I'll help.
Oh, I'm sure you'll have plenty of work to do to regain your memories. Given our current location, Kieran says, gesturing to their camp in the middle of the woods on a mountain next to battle lines of two warring nations. Finding this information at our current juncture may prove difficult.
I didn't expect it to be right away, but I did want to speak with you about it.
Of course. But no, it is possible, and I may be able to do some light research talking with those connections we've made throughout these lands so far. But that's good. I think you should have your memories returned to you.
I don't feel whole, and I don't like the way that feels. So,
No, I can't imagine.
no matter what it brings back, what emotions come along with it, I want it back.
Then so it shall be.
Thank you.
Kieran gives a deep bow.
Do let me know how I can help.
Well, for starters, yeah, sorry, I don't have anything actually. We kind of have a more pressing matter. I apologize. I don't mean to overstep what you're looking for, but the more powerful we become in our quest for Iluvania, I'm sure the closer to these answers we will become. We will be.
She gives
Until
you a
then,
small smile.
your ears open, your eyes alert.
She gives you a small smile and just snuggles back to go to sleep.
Kieran closes his eyes, assuming the same meditative pose, and enters a trance.
Okay. So, you find your sleep for the evening. Cal does as well. Kieran, you would wake up 4 hours earlier than everyone else. Is there anything you'd like to do in your morning hours?
Nah, we're good. I'll have to do more thinking on where we're going to find this information.
Mm-hmm. So, in those hours in the morning where you meditate, think on what is before you, you feel a sudden sinking in your heart. As you look to the shards of moonstone that make up the head of your staff now, you feel like the world around you is growing dimmer. For a moment, you feel deep senses of dread and panic. You, for a moment, feel like you're back in Maius's mind. As you're alone in the dark. Outside, it's still pitch black out and dead silent. You feel a dull aching in your body, in your aged bones, as you feel a gravitational pull almost, spiritually, towards your bag of holding.
We open it.
You open it, and instinctually connecting with this feeling, pull out carefully, with a cloth, I'll say, the pallid mask you found in the Ghost of Ruination. Feels like it's staring directly at you. Like there are eyes behind the mask. What do you do?
I stare back, inquisitively, waiting to see.
Give me a wisdom saving throw. With advantage.
Wizard never got advantage on my throw.
No, you don't have the blessings of Ilya on you.
Dirty 20.
Dirty 20. Okay. You almost you feel the sensation like when you're trying to stay awake and you fall asleep for a moment, but then you come out of it. But that sensation is not like I'm tired. It's like you just barely came out of whatever this mask was trying to do to you. And you felt that. As you feel that sense of dread slinking off and away from you. As you've resisted it in this moment. And the mask feels lighter suddenly. At least temporarily.
Staring at the mask for a moment more, Kieran thinks to himself whether it's smarter to destroy the mask now, given that this is really the first time it's kind of had this pull on him since finding it. But decides a weapon of the enemy may still prove fruitful, and places it back in the bag. This time, kind of wrapping it more. Like he takes out one of his spare, maybe his summer clothes, and wraps them tight around the mask, putting it back in, making sure to separate it as much as you can in a bag of holding from the dried heart of Maius, just in case there's any kind of reaction between the two.
Okay.
Also
So-
to remind you that I have that.
Oh, I know.
Okay.
Thank you. So you sit for the rest of the time contemplating what you just experienced, waiting for the others to awake. And as everyone starts to slowly awaken for the next day's journey to find Cal, that's where we'll take our break for now. So, folks, thank you for sticking around with us right now. We're going to take a quick 5-minute break. We'll be back at 8:45 p.m. Eastern Standard to continue this adventure. Stick around. We'll see you soon. Welcome, everybody, back to Advantage in Paradise. We just took our short break. We're returning to our party as they wake up on the sides of the western mountains of the Unduran Valley, as they are approaching the front lines to reunite with their old friend Cal. The evening prior, they had witnessed a firebombing, essentially, of the Unduran trench line from a trebuchet loaded with essentially what are clay pots filled with beads of abeyance, which anyone knows the Chrono Wizard subclass are little beads that have a spell in them that are ignited when thrown. And it was essentially 25 fireballs that just exploded into this trench line. Thankfully for our hero, Cal, he was not at that part of the trench line, but it was seen from a distance. The morning comes. It is now another day closer to the full eclipse of the sun above, so the morning is quite dark. You really only wake up out of habit, more so than the light wakening you up. Curon, of course, is able to wake you all up so you don't sleep in because of the darkness. It is mostly dusk-like in the lighting. There is the thin band of orange on the horizon, and you can see kind of rising above that horizon is the dark star, as it's called in the winter. As you can see, the eclipsed sun with just a sliver not eclipsed on the edges of it. But you wake up, you are also awoken by the frigid cold when the tiny hut closes down. So that's probably what will wake you up more so than Curon. As you feel snow immediately blown in your face by the breeze and the wind, and you can awaken to continue your travels today. Is there anything particular you'd like to do, or would you just like to keep moving?
Oh, I hate this.
Sorry, logistics aside, I still have Roko.
That is true. That you have two horses. You have Roko and Shadow, I think, because I think you took Scarlet's horse, Timber. I thought. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You left all the horses you brought with your brother-in-law. So you just have Roko. So yes, thank you for reminding me. You do have a horse with you.
Yes. I almost forgot.
As
but
soon
yes.
as the hut
Tiny
goes down, yeah, thank you. The tiny hut goes down and the cold hits. Scarlet would wake up just like immediately and just like kind of look panicked for a second, and then upon just seeing where she is, she would calm down.
No rusty war wizards here.
Wiswick has a magical item that gives him cold weather gear, essentially. So
That's
he's
true, actually. You are
he's
quite
fairly comfortable waking
comfortable.
up.
Yeah, I forgot
Just
about
prepares his spells, just like a normal day.
that. But is there anything in particular, or you just like to start moving on and trying to get to the trench line?
Just start moving.
Okay, so it's going to take you a greater part of the day to get across and down the mountain, and then you'll be just a little bit of ways away from the trenches. You'll have to probably arrive there tomorrow in the late morning. But for the most part, you don't have to worry too much about Quintarchy patrols. As you get closer to the actual base of the mountain routes, you may want to be a bit more quiet and stealthy.
So, guys, I don't know what you've been talking to Cal about, but what's our plan here? Are we gonna pick him up? Is he gonna meet us at the trench lines? Like,
Well, he said that, he'll have leave fairly soon, within a week or so. Though I intend to request his assistance from his higher ups, and make our case, being that our plane of existence is at risk, the Wayward One of the Morseer conflict still has plans in place that are being enacted as we speak. There's a good chance, actually, that the Quintarchy may unknowingly be doing some of his work. So that's more of a high theory of mine that I don't have too much proof on. It's just narratively speaking, would really tie a lot of things together. Anyways, excuse me. But yes, we will go there, speak with Cal, his superiors, and see if we can, borrow him for a bit. For more noble purposes, if you
Do you think we should get rid of these writs before we go in there? I mean, if Cal doesn't see us or vouch for us when we first come in, they might search us, and if they find them, they might think we're the enemy.
So one thing is for certain: if we go in their back line, they're going to assume we're enemies because we are not like them. So we do have to surrender all our belongings. It's just that we have to do it. This is a good plan, Vizvik. Maybe we should either burn this or rid of it somehow. It's a tool that will be used against us in this situation.
Maybe we should have the horse eat it.
No, don't do that, Taroko. We can just toss them here. Kieran takes his out, looks at it, rips it in half, and just tosses it into the shrubs.
I can burn it if you want.
Hey,
So
go
his is
Scarlet.
already blowing away in the breeze.
Oh, well. I can burn. Oh, okay.
You can better mine.
I thought mine was a little more dramatic, but
Vizvik, make an airplane.
What's an airplane? Paper flag machine.
Wiswick suddenly looks really nervous and is staring down at his core and says,
I don't know if I could let them take my arcane core. I mean,
Well, they're going to see a rock.
right, but who knows? They might think I'm some sort of wizard, and that
Stick it-
it could be used as a focus.
Stick it down your pants. Maybe they'll think it's a bulge.
It's about the size of his whole lower half. It's almost as big as him.
And he's carrying it around?
Caliph
How is he carrying it around?
magic.
Oh.
Caliph knows we'll be
Oh.
coming. I don't know if we'll necessarily have a welcome wagon waiting for us, but
This is quite a battlefield. I mean, the chances of him being exactly whatever we need him to be is almost like a... Never mind. It's very improbable.
A needle in a haystack.
Yes, that. But for some reason, I feel like fate will just kind of align. I don't know. Wouldn't you say the same, Kiran?
Vanya's hand guides all our actions, so we will be where we need to be when the time is right.
I'm Ilivanya.
Oh,
But as you sort of in a semi-dramatic and ritual fashion destroy the writ of authority from General Kinsley, a last vestige of your previous engagements and journeys, you begin trekking forward to the next.
I wonder if Cal still has his.
Doubt it. That would have been one of the first things he probably got rid of. Cal, you have awoken to break the icy tarp and step out into the now snow-covered trench line. You can see it's still snowing for everyone's purposes. There might be a few soldiers, shoveling out some of the snow from the trench. But as you kind of go about your day, I imagine mostly just waiting for Fortis to come speak with you. There's a point, it's probably not till like midday that Fortis would come, and you would see him coming down the line. You'd see foot soldiers saluting him. Following him is Private Griff, who is wearing much nicer clothes now and is wearing much nicer, much more cold-resistant clothing
Mm-hmm.
Arcos Fortis comes up to you. You exchange appropriate salutes. Lieutenant, I am here to discuss the terms of your discharge for the long dock.
Yes, sir.
Due to your incredible bravery, the bravery of your sacrifice, this is an earned respite from the war. I see that you've already discussed briefly or talked with Private Griff here, and you see the handsome young man kind of just smiles. He seems very cocky, and he steps up in front of not in front of, next to Arcos Fortis. This bravado, you're like, this guy is either not a soldier at all or much higher ranking than he's giving off. I'm terribly sorry that I was not forthright when I met you, Lieutenant Stormrain. My name is Uriel Clay. And you see Arcos Fortis rolls his eyes and stands up straight, looks at you. He's a very important governor in the Gwyn Empire. He was supposed to be heading to Valmalcia as an ambassador, but apparently he just rode right past. And Uriel's just sort of grinning at this. To play soldier. And Uriel Clay is, I don't like others dying for me in my lands. I thought it appropriate to join these lines. And Fort's like, well, you had your duty, and you... Regardless, Lieutenant Stormrain, you are given your discharge to leave tomorrow. But you will be not going south alone. You are to escort this governor to Valmalcia. Ensure he gets there and stays there. Does not run away, play soldier again. He is very important to the Great Empire.
Yes, sir. Am I to attend him as guard afterwards?
No. He has guards available to him in your capital. Once he is
Understood,
safely within the walls of Valmalcia, safely with his own guard, you may move on to wherever it is you wish to go. As we discussed, hopefully back to Stormrain.
Cal nods to agree with the order, but is not like, yeah, that's a great idea.
Something you would notice about... there are a myriad of accents in the Gwyn Empire, but most of them have that sort of French or Mediterranean vibe. This man has an Oxlan accent, which is very strange. Well, Governor Clay will find you in the morning, make his own preparations, and we will then see you off. Do you have any questions, Lieutenant?
Yes, sir. What will happen to my artificer? Is he also sent home?
Ottoman is too important to the line right now. We need good artificers to stay with us. He will not be discharged right away. Although I promise within the first rotations at the Long Dock, he will be sent home.
Might I request that for at least a few weeks he have depot duty or something farther back? He needs the rest, sir.
I will take that into consideration. But for now, Lieutenant, prepare for your journey south.
Yes,
So
sir.
I'll see you before you are off. And
I salute him.
and he walks away, and Uriel kind of like lags behind just for a moment, just to kind of give you a nod himself, as then he kind of scampers off to catch up. Okay. Is there anything else that you would like to do for this day, Cal?
Yeah, I would start pulling together supplies for a trip south for, I guess, 2 people.
Yeah, absolutely. So you spend the majority of the day getting that ready, commissioning from quartermasters what you need.
Some horses, some food, some
Pretty much able
camping
to get whatever
gear.
you need.
Yeah.
Enough food for the journey to Vermosia, 2 horses, and camping equipment. Back amongst the rest of the Wayward Four, you are making your way down the mountainside at this point. It's approaching late in the evening, as you've been mostly hiking all day. You found a place to comfortably start to head down the mountain. You know that you're somewhat beyond the line at this point, so you likely are safe from patrols or anything like that. And you can begin descending into the gap. Is there any specific way you'd like to do that? Perhaps not a trace.
I imagine we'd stick as close to the base of the mountain as we can, not going too far out, remaining in tree cover if at all possible, as we make our way south into the Untduran line.
Okay. As you do so, you want to try to stay within the tree line as you're getting closer to the line. Okay.
Along the edge of it, so that we'd be noticed, but not just out there in the open.
Yes, I see. Okay. Would you like to stealth at this point, or are you when you get closer?
Kieran would not be stealthing.
Okay.
Kieran would just be trotting. No, he'd be walking next to Roko, since none of his companions are riding. He's not going to ride.
Okay. So the rest of you would notice this, as I imagine a lot of you are like, we're going to stealth. As you reach the kind of forest line, you notice that Kieran just starts walking out into not out into the fields, but out on the edge of the forest.
Kieran, do you really want to be that obvious right now?
Well, I'd rather they know of our approach than find out last minute. This way they see us and then they can prepare, and then, we'll have a parsing of words, as it were, and then we'll go into, they'll take us captive or whatever, and that gets us to Cal. I don't know if sneaking into their encampment is the best plan either. It shows a more nefarious heart.
You make a good point. Okay. Scarlet, can I get one of the smoke bombs?
Sure. I hand him one.
Okay.
I cast Mage Armor again, and I walk out with Kieran.
All right. So a lot of you notice that you're up at the top of kind of like the hillside before it leads into the actual no man's land. And now that you're up close, I guess Timber doesn't, but the rest of you can smell that there is just like, it's hard to smell because the cold kind of does mute some of the smell, but it is a horrid stench that is being brushed up this hill from the valley below. As you feel the up current of wind bringing this scent upon you, is the scent of blood, rot, mud, burnt out, ditches and those sorts of things. As you are walking by, you can see that there are snow is covering a lot of what was once here, and the more perceptive of you would start to notice the shapes of bodies that are covered in the snow. Shapes of dead horses, the broken down wagons, carts, all sorts of debris scattered across this. And as you look at it and continue looking at it, you can see it does not end. It's not like there's just a small patch of this. It keeps going. That these first days of the war, these first months of the war have been particularly brutal and bloody, and both sides have suffered significant losses, it looks like. Timber, you would see this and you would know how dangerous it is for you to be close to this.
These are fresh. We need to keep moving.
Timber, can I get a swig of that flask? You know, the one I gave to you. I mean, they probably won't think we're spies if we're drunk, right?
You make good points. Here.
He takes it and his hand is shaking in fear, and he's just like, go.
Yeah, Wisbick, you almost cough a little bit as you found yourself drinking it too fast. Each of you has your own experience with death. Some of you have killed a lot of people. Most of you have killed a lot of people. But it was over time. And even for those of you who have been more, say, killed happy in the past.
Murderers of Magicset.
The murders of Magicset. This is a lot. This is overwhelming. It's hard to process. Your brains are almost shutting it out a little bit at first. Looking away from it, trying not to see. And as you get closer down you guys aren't going down the hills. You're still up there. But you start heading towards the line. You'll arrive close to mid-afternoon. Well, right now it's actually, thinking of the timeline, it's approaching nighttime now. So you'll have to camp out at least once before you get to the line, unless you wanted to push through, but you probably don't want to arrive in the middle of the night.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, so as we're getting, I'd say like once we can start to see the fires of their camps, we would pull off, go a bit, so that we can so that we know when we wake up, we're like almost right there.
As close as you can get comfortably without being in danger.
Right, yeah, like a mile or two out.
Okay. And you're gonna stay on the hillside and try to are you gonna stay in the forest?
Yeah, maybe head up a little.
Yeah, I imagine probably good to head up a little bit.
Yeah, to some better ground, maybe a decent vantage point.
Okay.
Are we gonna have a fire, or are we just gonna do the thing again?
Tiny hut, baby. What more could you want in life than a tiny hut?
I don't know. Four adventurers and a horse in a tiny hut. It's a little uncomfortable, if you ask me.
I mean, he upgraded this tiny hut to have like a nice little like jazz playing while we're sleeping, or like right before we go to sleep.
Yeah.
It's
can fit 9 medium creatures, so we're at half capacity, a little more, I guess, actually, with the horse.
All right, not bad.
Okay.
I would
Spaces don't make sense in D&D, okay?
I would like to mention that Wiswick would probably be like at night. He would go back to his normal hobbies of drawing, but instead of doing the cartography, he's going to start like making accurate depictions of like the battle scenes and such. Just because he like feels like if he's able to write it down, he can get it out of his mind, as if it was like it nagging him, because like the imagery is just like bothering him at this point.
Yeah.
Kieran will comment on this action. Still in a position of meditation. He's simply watching Wiswick as he draws, and he expects to see, the maps and stuff and his usual drawings. But when he sees the battle scenes, Kieran goes, "Why would you draw such scenes of death and destruction, Wiswick?"
At first, I thought my drawings were purely educational. I wanted to learn about the surface and the environment around and how it's shaped and how the nature forms itself up here. But after living for some time in a surface world city, I feel like I've come to understand a little bit more about their culture, and it just seemed like a very surface the con like context. I mean, I never saw a war of the scale. I mean, there's been plenty of battles in the Underdark almost daily, but not in a scale like this. It just I can't really get it out of my head. I thought that if I wrote it down on this paper, if I made my thoughts come to illustrate my thoughts, I could maybe think about something else, not really have to worry about it. I think that just the drawing relaxes me.
That's fair. Yes, even in wars of old, the destruction was never quite to this scale. The Gwyn are constantly pushing their technology, both beneficial to society but also destructive to others. Now the Quintarchy has their hand on some of those magics. It's almost as if the fabled fights of the Morsia conflict are playing themselves out again on our plane. The same level of destruction, just devoid of the divine. If it helps you, I can see that. Though I would suggest drawing something a little nicer. Like flowers. Or Rocco here. He's a fine model.
Maybe tomorrow. For now, I want to finish this up. Who
Of
knows?
course.
Maybe my depiction can be used for good in the future. I can use it to show people the horrors that happened here, and maybe they'll think twice next time they sign up or enlist to something as barbaric as this.
I fear it is the curse of us mortals to repeat history. Even those of us elves with our long lifespans seem to forget the horrors that we can commit. But I'll leave you to it. And Kieran returns to his meditations.
Kieran, are you taking your trance right away or second?
He tends to take it in the middle of the night. So
Okay.
Wiswick usually stays up a little late. So he gives Wiswick
That makes
that
sense.
private.
That makes sense. All right, so everyone finds some kind of rest. Kieran, you take your middle 4 hours.
Mhm.
It's sometime in that first hour of you waking up. Do you tend to, with the hut up, keep an eye out, do a watch, or do you find comfort in the hut and don't really?
He always has his, perceptives going. I mean, I feel like it's hard for him to turn it off.
Yeah.
But I also imagine it's hard to see out of it. It's described as being totally clear, but I always, in my mind, imagine it's slightly,
Opaque.
yeah.
Yeah, the idea is that you can see through it. It's part of the benefit of the spell, I believe. It's transparent from the inside. It's opaque on the outside.
Yeah.
But I mean, imagine there is some clear representation of it, but you can see through it for the most part. Though there's no light outside, so you would have disadvantage on the perception. So if you could give me a quick disadvantage perception check.
So, oops, I just cleared it. We'll take the 21 instead of the 30. You're muted.
Muted.
Okay. 21 instead of the 30. All right. It's sometime in that first hour that you just barely notice the crunching of snow between footfall, not far from your campsite. And you just barely notice it. You don't know what direction it came from, but you did notice there is someone out there, or some people out there.
Kieran will keep an eye and ear out, but otherwise he's not going to make any moves to do anything.
Okay. Did you guys conceal the bubble this night, or is it just out there opaque?
I think Wiswick would have done so, but he didn't cast telekinesis because he didn't prepare it for the day, so it's probably more hastily done.
Okay. Timber, would you help him again?
Yeah, he probably would have helped him, but after the success of the other night, I don't think like the same. Probably would have done a crappy job.
And
All
I
right.
would have felt bad that I didn't help the first time, so I'd help a little bit this
All right.
time.
I'll say everyone
Everyone
give
would
me a
relax.
survival check with disadvantage for intentional crappiness.
18 and then I got 2 18s. Good for me.
I got 15 and an 18. 15.
I almost want to turn off the animations in D&D Beyond so I could get the roll faster.
I think you can.
But
I got a 16 and a 17, which turns out to be a
Okay.
21 and a 20. So
Your intentional crappiness is pretty good.
yeah.
You're muted again.
So, Kieran, you would have noticed this. I'd say with your passive perception around later, like the latter half of that first hour you're awake.
Hmm.
Those people are in the glade you're in, or in the forest line. They're not just outside of it anymore, and they seem like they're getting closer to your camp. You know that you're slightly hidden, but you also know that when someone's close, it doesn't do much.
Kieran prepares his best smile should anyone come up and approach them, but otherwise he's going to stay there and just hope that they're overlooked.
Okay. Some short time later, you would see that they're entering into this space. You see a group of soldiers, it looks like. Silhouettes. It's very hard to see them because it's so dark and through the slight opaqueness. But they're approaching the hut.
At this, Kieran gently shakes Scarlet, Timber, Wiswick. We have company.
You would all now see that these soldiers are on you, and they are wiping off the branches and stones, and they obviously can't see you, and you can see them. What would you like to do?
I'm going to take the hut down. Let's remember, we're friends of Calith's. We're here on a God-given mission by Eluvania, and we are no friends of General Kinsley. And with that, Kieran dissipates the hut to have it is very like a kind of look, like that smile that you give when you get caught doing something that you probably shouldn't have been doing, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just like you knew that it wasn't the right thing to do.
What are you all doing?
I have
Wiswick, holding his arcane core up, has his hands up in the air like this.
Yeah, Wiswick has his knee. Sorry, Wiswick. Timber has his hands, or he's on his knees with his hands behind his back, kind of like surrender.
Scarlet doesn't have doesn't have her dagger out, but she has her hand on the hilt but can see her other hand.
Okay. All right. So,
As it lowers, Kieran is just gonna go, "Hello there."
Oh God.
So as the
Question.
as the hut slowly starts to dissipate around you, you immediately hear commotion amongst the group out there as you will all hear swords drawn immediately. The sound of steel being drawn. As your hut comes down, it's very dark. You can see that some of these soldiers do have goggles similar to Cal's on. They are all in similar uniforms. They immediately draw their swords and look to each of you, and they all just start screaming at you to drop your weapons, drop any weapons you have.
Kieran is going to cast Minor Illusion to magnify his voice, and in a not booming voice, but a louder than normal voice, say out, "We are friends of Calith Stormrain. We come seeking his aid in a quest for the safety of all of Gwenvalor."
Give me a persuasion roll with disadvantage.
Oh.
Oh wow!
16.
Everyone's like, oh wow. Oh wow. So they don't they're with the -1 too. They're not they don't appear to be calming down, but they're not immediately attacking you. Previously they were all yelling at you to drop your weapons, but now you can see there's one in particular who stands in front of them and looks to you. We have no way of confirming this yet. Drop your weapons now. Drop all of your weapons, anything you have.
I literally don't have anything.
I'm not talking to you, Wolfman. I'm talking to this one. As he points at Scarlet.
I don't drop it, but I put my hands up.
Keep those hands there. Keep those hands there. Grab them. As you see, one of them does come up and pulls your dagger out of it. They start to search each of you now.
As Wiswick immediately, as soon as they get like anywhere close to him, he's gonna cast Wall of Force and surround the entire party and push them backwards.
Okay.
Oh boy.
That doesn't even have a saving throw, it just automatically does it, right? For pushing them
Yeah,
out?
10 minutes I have concentration for.
Okay. All right. So as the soldiers start to search you, they grab your dagger, Scarlet. They grab your staff, Kieran.
Kieran goes, "You want to deprive an old man of his..."
Why didn't you take the wizard staff?
I told you to take the wizard's staff.
And as they approach Wiswick to begin searching him, you all suddenly see this wall encircles each of you, and you see the soldiers all pushed back, and they fall down to their knees, or they fall backwards. You see they start to lift up. You see the one who's talking to immediately looks to one and says, "Run now, get help." And they all have their swords out. You see one of them has essentially a firearm of sorts. It is a long stick that it's like someone ripped off the bow of a crossbow, and there's runes at the end, and it's holding it up right now. You see the one comes up to you. Now the whole glade is lit in this dim, dull, white light. What is this?
Wiswick.
I thought you were peacefully
what-
surrendering yourselves. Are you Quint assassins? Are you Quint infiltrators?
Do
What
we
is
look
this?
like Quintarchy assassins?
Wiswick, put the
What?
wall down.
Why else would you be in this forest,
No!
sneaking around, skulking around in the night?
Wiswick,
Wiswick, don't
We're
make me. Don't make me.
Is there any trees nearby? Like, we're in the forest, right? There are trees above us.
Yeah.
Wiswick is going to cast invisibility on himself at the end of the. Actually, no, he's gonna misty step up into the tree, where he's hopefully not gonna be seen, like blinking away, and then he's gonna cast invisibility up there.
Okay.
And before he leaves, he says, "You're not gonna take my stuff."
Okay.
This whole time, Huron is pleading with the captain to be like, you have to understand, our friend is incredibly paranoid. I apologize. We were going to announce ourselves when we reached your line.
So as soon as Wiswick does this, he bamps away and disappears. Turns himself invisible. The wall goes down in this moment. It gets really dark. You see a spark of red light as that the one holding their firearm fires where Wiswick was, and you can see this blast. It's almost like a shotgun blast of fiery energy, just sprinkles down and hits where Wiswick was, and you can just see the steam rising from it as that light hit, and they immediately bum rush you to knock you onto your knees to take you in as prisoners.
I'm
Search for the gnome.
Wiswick.
Do you resist?
Yeah.
No.
Oh.
Nope.
Oh.
You immediately, they kick out the back of your legs and you're down on your knees and they start to tie your wrists up.
Huron's just gonna shout, please be careful with the horse.
You're a fucking idiot.
The horse was terrified by the gunshot and is currently running as fast as it can away from you all. And you see there is one of the soldiers that's chasing after the horse. 'Cause horses are very
As we're walking away with our hands tied, excuse me, you're going to have to cover my mouth.
What?
My friend here has a current ailment that we're working on, and the scent of blood. Well, we don't want to hurt any of you.
Gag them. And
Well, just him,
they,
actually.
they gag you and they gag Scarlet, and then they extra gag Timber.
The gag's not gonna do anything.
This is new.
This is not my snout.
Oh goodness, this is gonna get worse.
Oh god.
The sun is slowly rising in the distance as you have now been taken prisoner. There are soldiers looking for Wiswick in the forest as they start to bring you to the line. Timber, give me a wisdom saving throw.
Yep,
Just to
that
be
was pretty
clear,
good.
Sean,
15.
Okay, good. Yes, Wiswick.
I just wanted to stipulate I used arcane casting to extend the range of Misty Step so I could go further away. I don't
Okay.
know if that gives me a little bit of a head start, but we'll get to that later.
Well, you were also invisible, so that helps.
hmm
Um,
But I mean, like, if they had a wizard on them and they immediately did like detect magic or something like that,
yeah.
I
I mean,
might
they
have
did go
lost
ask
range.
for. They did ask for reinforcements, so they will probably be looking for you. But right now, there's only a few of them looking for you. If you'd like to give me a stealth check, you can.
Okay.
You have advantage with invisibility.
Oh shoot, I gotta roll. Good thing that dice roll went under my thing, because it doesn't count anyway.
So, Timber, you feel anxious as the scent of blood comes into your nose, and you can feel the anger and the hunger boiling up in your chest, as you can feel almost like your blood gets hot. You feel like the as if, you know, the same way you feel when you have like morphine at the hospital. You get that warm feeling throughout your body as you just barely holding on to yourself at this point.
I imagine he's like
kind of-
breathing heavily through his nose since he can't out his mouth.
Yeah.
And
it's
just
the absolute
wide-eyed,
worst
like-
situation.
Yeah.
But they're just taking you right now. They're moving you along down the hill towards the line. Wiswick, what did you get for stealth? You got a 19?
19. Yep.
Okay.
Unless I still had pass without a trace, in which case it's a 29.
No, we didn't. You didn't even. This is the next morning. You didn't even get to turn that up.
That's
Plus,
okay.
you'd be out of range of it.
Get out of here.
Okay.
I am resisting. Not like a ton, but instinct is kicking in.
Just trying to get out, or just like generally being resistive.
Just generally being resistant.
Like you're really just trying to maintain autonomy.
Exactly.
All right, give me a athletics check.
17.
Okay, so I mean, you're pretty consistently like not like pushing their hands off your shoulders and whatnot. Your hands are tied behind your back.
Yeah.
Do you do this? I guess I'll do it this way. Stop resisting, and we're gonna have to knock you out. They kind of push you along forward.
Yeah.
You start to approach. As you're now close to everything, you can see kind of the mud-caked wooden stakes sticking out from the side of the trench. You can see you're up close now. Like you're seeing just like silhouetted bodies under the snow. You see a horse's head nearly completely rotted away, where it's just the skull underneath. There is this horrible buzzing noise. And at first you're like, it's too cold for bugs. But there's a particular type of carrion swarms that come out during the long dark that are resistant to the cold. And you would see they're these almost to someone looking at them, they look like walking sapphires. The shells of these beetles are glittering, but they are all caked in rot and blood as you see them crawling all over the bodies. And you can see at first looks like rippling snow is really just these insects underneath the snow. And it just sounds like there's millions of them in this field. Timber, give me another wisdom saving throw.
Oh, okay. Dirty 20.
Okay, all right. You really pull yourself back, and you're kind of like you're almost doing a thing where you're like just like taking really quick inhales as best you can to try to avoid as much as possible.
He's gonna be wide-eyed looking at Kieran too, like.
Kieran will have a very like scared but sympathetic look on his face, just being like, if his eyes could convey words, they would say, "Be strong, Kaze."
They shove you down into the trench itself. You can see there are maybe a dozen soldiers within eye shot of where you are. They look pretty miserable as they're all covered in layers of clothes to protect them from the cold. You see they start to lead you towards a dugout where there is a Gwyn Arcos steps out. You can see it is a tall Gwyn elf. She's probably like, she's very tall even for a Gwyn elf woman. She's probably about 6 feet tall. She has glittering armor on that is reminiscent of the Kiris re-armor you saw in the academies, but it's contemporary compared to those. It doesn't have the same colorations. It glitters quite bright against the torch lights that are all around. As she steps forward, she has her hair is held back tight in a very tight bun, all wrapped up here. Her hair is a dark brown color. Her skin is darker toned. Her eyes have these very bright orange irises as she approaches and pulls out and kind of has her hand on the hilt of a Gwyn saber, like the one you saw in General's trophy room. As they kind of push you down to your feet in front of her. We found this lot wandering around in the forest, sneaking, skulking, and their magic uses. One of them ran away. What do we do with them? She kind of looks down. If they are Quinn spies, they are very foolish. You think they could infiltrate from the forest? They said they knew Lieutenant Stormrain. She'll kneel down in front of you, Kieran, and take the gag out of your mouth.
Speaking in Elvish, he says to her, "Thank you. I appreciate that. It is good to see." He'll, in flowery words, be like, one of your, however an Elysian would address a Gwyn, and not in like the traditional Elysian ways that they talk about the Gwyn behind their backs, but in like a southern sister, if you will.
Yeah.
Would be the phrase I mean, southern sister. It is good to see you, southern sister. We did not attempt. We are going to make no attempt to sneak in to your camp. That's why we were going to wait until morning to announce ourselves at the line. We come, as your friend there said, seeking Kelth Stormrain. And then he'll continue. I apologize for our gnomish friend that fled. He has serious issues with authority. And he looks over at Scarlet, as do some of our other companions. So they've done better.
She looks at you, and then you see her eyes are staring at Timber right now. Who is like...
Yes, and actually, if you will allow me to, or if you could just cover his snout, the scent of death and blood awakens something in him.
She squints her eyes at you. Give me a persuasion roll.
And for the audience, why do you have a snout and not a nose? Are you a wolf currently or a human currently?
Oh, that's right. Yes, he's in woven form.
He's hybrid.
Yeah, hybrid form.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. That was not clear at the beginning of the episode. I apologize.
Oh,
sorry.
Dirty.
Yeah, he's always. Yeah, Timber is always in werewolf form unless he distinctly says, "I am in human form."
Right.
Or woven form.
I just feel like most of the time he was a wolf or a human. It's rare that he's just been chilling and hiding.
He can't be human for long.
He can only be in humanoid form for an hour a day. There's a 1?
Yeah.
It's a dirty 1?
Oh,
Dirty.
it's a dirty one.
So dirty.
It's not a
Dirty,
critical
dirty one.
failure, but it is a dirty
It's
one.
pretty close.
You're... No one's a critical failure.
Yeah.
Also, during this time, I think I would like to slowly try to get out of my binds, sleight of hand.
Oh yeah, you've got some significant sleight of hand, so
Yeah.
I will allow you to do that.
Okay.
Go ahead and give me a sleight of hand roll.
Sure.
Slide.
That's a 30.
Oh,
Yeah, you're out of your binds. You
Okay.
shot at it.
No, the thing is, he's not getting out of his binds.
Loosened them.
He's loosened them, and he just like, on a whim, if he needs to get out, he's just holding on for the look for now.
She'll look at you, Kieran, and just say, "You must in Elvish in return, in common Elvish. You must understand why we cannot believe you this time. You've invoked Lieutenant Stormrain's name, so we will give you at least an opportunity. We will bring you to the central camp where he is, but this will not excuse these foolish actions. We will fully search you. We will find your friend. And we'll see what your fate is.
Kieran looks her dead in the eyes and with a slight smile goes, "My fate is decided by the gods."
She nods to one of them and they gag you again. They start to push you all forward. Wiswick, what are you doing?
Ah,
Because they didn't find you because you're invisible.
Nothing. I'm leaving. Yeah.
That's where Wiswick exits our story, never to be seen or heard from again.
He's lost in the mountains.
No, so Wiswick is going to go deep into the mountains, or as far as he can without, like, he's just trying to avoid detection before his invisibility runs out.
Mhm.
So he wants to go further back into the mountains where he knows he'll be safe. And once he's found like a location where he feels a little bit more secure, like covers his tracks and commands Jet to try and spy on the camp. I'm not gonna use the Beastmaster control over it. I'm just gonna have Jet fly over, and basically his command is, if you see any of our friends, fly back and let me know where they are.
Yeah, I would say it's like you're easily able to go deeper into the mountains. Jet, you send Jet away. It is pretty far, so Jet's not going to immediately be able to let you know when he finds them. But as the rest of you are kind of being pushed along through the trenches, I'd say at least Curon would notice Jet flapping around in the sky. Several soldiers aim their weapons at him because familiars are known in these armies, and anything that flies above gets shot down.
Anything that flies
Sharon,
dies.
Upon seeing the bat and the soldier's reaction starts to go, motioning to it. And looks pleadingly at if the elven woman is still with us, or if another guard that seems to be in charge. He'll look pleadingly at them, like,
Looking to the rear as you magical flak 88 start to fucking wheel around.
For one bat. It just, yeah. There's enough soldiers, though, aiming crossbows and other weapons at Jet that I'm not even going to roll for it. Jet is going to get taken down.
Aw.
And you would at least sense and know that Jet is disapparated when he went over the camps.
As soon as that happens, Wiswick's just going to. He feels like he wants to cast Scrying, but he doesn't want to do it yet. He feels like it's too early. He won't get the information he needs.
Mhm.
So he's going to hold off a little longer, and then maybe cast Scrying in 15 minutes. I don't know. He can't last that long.
Okay. So the rest of you are being pushed along through the camps at this point. You have those soldiers around you, and you have that Gwen Arcos walking ahead of you. You're seeing more and more of the camps as well, and you're seeing these soldiers, men and women alike, all sorts of, mostly Unduran. And then occasionally you'll see a Gwyn here and there. There's a portion you walk through that's entirely burnt out husk. That just has completely burned away wooden planks. The ground is scorched, likely a target of one of those fire bombs that you saw. You see like canteens and other belongings that are just scorched completely, and collapsed rock and soot from the walls of the fortifications. You would occasionally pass where some, maybe a couple dozen, up to 100 feet away in the snow, you can see small fortifications, small stone forts. You can see them kind of pocketing this entire line, maybe every 200 feet or so. Wiswick, I'd say by this time you could scry if you'd like.
Okay. I do so on Scarlet. Scarlet, you can choose to fail the save if you wish.
Yeah, I'll fail it.
Okay. So you would see Wiswick exactly what I just described, that they're being pushed through. It's hard to see much else. You're kind of focused in on Scarlet, but you can see kind of the conditions of the trenches as well as they're being moved through it.
I maintain it for the full 10 minutes.
Okay. I would say as you're maintaining it, the last few moments of the scry, you would see them arriving at a location where the guards would push all of your friends to the side, down on their knees by the edge of the trench. And you see the Arcos walking into a dugout in a tent. And then it fades away. Those of you there would see, kind of looking around, you can see this area has more soldiers than the previous ones. You're surmising that hopefully Cal is here.
I hope so.
I would say at this point, Cal, you are actually with Arcos Fortis and Governor Oriel. He's kind of outlining your mission to you, just saying, take the quickest roads to Vermelsia. Ensure that he is not captured by anyone. If there is anyone who bypasses the line, I do not think you will have trouble, but you understand what could happen. And then he kind of looks over at Governor Oriel, and you see the two other prisoners are there as well. And he's like, have you been able to surmise anything from them? As he looks to Oriel, who, I'm afraid not. The old one, he doesn't really speak much. Obviously, we cannot. Our friend here can't communicate with us. But we heard the attacks happening the other night, so don't know if they'll continue. And it's at that point that you see the other Arcos comes in. And you all turn and look, and she goes, excuse me. Arcos Fortis, Lieutenant Stormrain. We've captured some potential Quintarchy spies wandering around in the forest at the base of the mountain at the edge of our line. They claim to know Khaled Stormrain. They claim to be coming to get him for some adventure. Lieutenant Stormrain, were you expecting anyone?
Expecting? No, but I believe I know who it is.
Can you please come with us to confirm that you know these people and that they are not enemies?
Of course, Arcos. Governor, I've had the quartermasters get ready supplies and horses. There should be some at the second depot that way.
Thank you, Lord Stormrain. I look forward to our adventure together, our journeys.
I'll be with you shortly, sir.
So you step out into the whipping cold. As you can see, in this moment, there are these guards all standing around, some rapscallions from your past, as you see. One of them is just antagonizing them really, really hard. Like, Like one of them is just like looking through their they're looking through their belongings and taking them out. And Huron, you see them messing with your bag of holding, and they're not being gentle. I guess I'll say.
And upon seeing Cal, Huron's face will immediately brighten as he can't see his smile, but you can see he's smiling.
Yeah. As Huron gets a little bit more excited, like one of the guards definitely like pushes him back down. These are the individuals we captured.
I turn to the Arcos and I go, yes, they are allies. I'll vouch for them, ma'am. I understand they probably shouldn't have been sneaking on the lines, but I believe they're most likely doing what they should have been doing. And there's certainly not Quintarchy, or certainly not Quintarchan spies.
Is that enough? Unbind their hands.
Timber,
you, ma'am.
Timber immediately just stands up, unbinds himself, and then takes the gag out. Oh, thank God.
Huron goes, slaps the guard's hand away from the bag of holding, and goes, "You do not know what magics you're dealing with." As he puts it back within his armor.
As they all get unbound and geared up, Cal takes a cigarette out of his case he has for it, I guess, puts it in his mouth, and uses a Gwyn auto flint to light it, which looks disturbingly in the real world like a Zippo lighter.
The Arcos looks at you, Cal. She says to her soldiers, "Return their things. Keep strange company, Lieutenant."
Thank you, ma'am, for being understanding. And yes, before signing up, I was quite the traveler, let's say, and these are friends I picked up throughout
Quite
those times.
Huron butts in, going up to put a hand around Cal. He goes, "Have you not heard this man is a hero?"
Cal just kind of looks at his boots. Like, I'm just not going to comment on this. He takes a pretty long drag of the cigarette.
The Arcos narrows.
Critically, and this is critical. Cal doesn't hold it like this, like most people do. He's got it turned in, so it's inside his palm,
Of course.
Block the wind and the light.
She looks to the to you, Huron, and back to Caliph. And in common Elvish, will say to you, "He is certainly a brave soldier. He's done much to achieve admiration from this line. You truly are friends of Lieutenant Stormrain. You are friends to Gwyn Empire."
Responding, Huron in Elvish, and kind of nodding to Cal, being like, "Yeah, you understand this too." Goes, "And we are definitely no allies of the Quintarchy. We've had our own run-ins with General Aldrich Kinsley. I don't know if you've heard, but your lieutenant here escaped out of his manor with us, and we fled south as the war was started."
Oh. Rumor is that you tried to kill him.
Cal gives a little shake of his hand, maybe, just like a little to Huron in his view. Just be like, we can wrap this up. We don't talk about this.
No, we were working with him, actually. We were allies. I'm sorry.
She narrows her eyes and then sort of just scoffs for a bit and then starts stepping away and looks to Cal and nods to him as she steps back. If a lot of you have any information, since you did cross the line, I suggest you tell it to Arcos Fortis in the tent. And the next time you try to sneak into a camp,
We weren't sneaking.
well, next time try presenting yourself.
Apologies, I didn't realize your scouts were that good. They should be commended for finding us.
Thank you, ma'am, for understanding, I say, and give her a very snappy salute.
She nods and takes her soldiers and heads back to the western line.
What did you do to my scarf? Where's my scarf?
Timber, you do see one of them has your scarf in their hands, and they're just like sniffing it because it's like got so many chemicals in it, and they're just like, oh.
Give me that.
I don't want to make you do one last wisdom save right after everything went well.
You want me to?
No. You got the scarf back on in time.
Yeah, all right. So I look at my companions, and at first you see there's like a bit of a smile on Cal's face at first. And then it kind of turns into just like, not confusion is the wrong term. I think it's like bewilderment. Like as if, and this is all internal, so I can't present this, so I'll just say it. As if like, two worlds are hitting each other for him, and it's very like, this is weird, and I don't know what to do about it.
Yeah, Cal, you for a moment at a certain point thought you might not ever see them again.
Yeah, I was pretty positive that we were not gonna hang out again. Ever.
You would distinctly notice in this moment that Wizbek is not there.
Yeah. So a little confused, I would be like, here, come with me. And head kind of up the trench. I'm heading for anywhere I know there'd be like an open staff office or some kind of like area where we could get inside.
Yeah.
That isn't just a shitty bunk in the side of the trench.
Yeah, no, you could definitely find that, especially because there a lot you have to.
Yeah, a lot of the units got rotated out or whatever.
Exactly. So when you go into this room, you would notice like a foot soldier just like with his legs up on the desk, like definitely out of line, just like using the just chilling in the officers, and you see immediately kind of like drops his feet down and raises up and gives you a quick salute.
I don't salute him back even. I just head nod towards the door.
Hey, sir. My apologies. And rushes out into the snow.
So yeah, Cal would if there's chairs or just somewhere to sit in here, Cal would motion.
Yeah, there's a whole desk. This is like an officer's quarters where there'd be meetings and whatnot. So there's definitely places to sit, and it's large enough.
And then I would pull a chair out from behind the desk, so I'm not like interrogating them. I'm like with them in a group. and I would motion and be like, sit down, and I'd be like, I received your messages, but I didn't think you would actually show up here. I didn't think it was quite possible, or at least I guess I didn't know you would. Point is, it's good to see you. I say, and I kind of like, well, we're kind of already sitting, so I just nod, I guess.
It's good to see you too, Cal.
And there's a more of a smirk again on Cal's face.
Why, I said we were going to be here soon.
I suppose, well, to be honest, for the most part, I've had more to focus on. And I suppose I didn't think you actually would be. I don't know. To be honest, it didn't cross my mind that you actually could get here.
Well, of course we can. We're the Wayward Five. Well,
speaking of, where's Wiswick? I assume he got paranoid about the guards at the front of the trench and ran off into the woods somewhere?
Correct.
Of course he did.
He jeopardized the party once at Muller, so...
I'm sure he'll catch up to us soon enough. And of course, I must find Rocco.
Yeah, I'll be able to get your horse almost certainly. Do you know what unit I can find the Arcos? She didn't have a name. Arcos.
No, she's Arcos Serena.
Veterix.
Or Veterix. Fine, I'll take that. That's a better.
Sorry,
name.
I was just scrambling for a name.
That's fine. I like that name. I'll take it. Arcos Veterix. I like that name a lot. Changed her name.
I'll find Arcos Veterix and get her to tell me. It's Depot 4 usually they feed out of, so we'll be able to get them from there, I'm sure.
Cal, this is quite the scene. How are you holding up?
I'm fine. I mean, we're out here. I'm not going to say it's pleasant, but there's a job to do, and we're doing it.
Are you all right? Are you healthy?
Fairly. Had a bit of a brush with malaria earlier in the war. it would probably be called something like the chills in this case. I had a brush with the chills
we'll go
earlier.
with the chills. We'll go with
Yeah.
the chills.
But yeah, we've been fine for a couple months now. Thank you. How are you all? I know we kind of split up on the river there, and then you two went west and you went back north, didn't you? How was that?
Interesting.
Well, that's why we're back here now, because me and Timber's quest into the ruination proved incredibly fruitful.
Oh,
That it did. Kieran, sorry.
No, of course. I wish Wizwood was here, but we'll catch him up when he rejoins us. And Kieran places the staff in front of him, and as he does, he like kind of activates it a bit as the moon starts to like almost look, so like the shards of the moon are at the top of it, and then they start to do a cool magical thing where like it replicates the broken, shattered moon of Ilyvania above Alicia, and you can just see faint, like inky purple clouds billowing out from it. But they dissipate, like a fog machine. He goes, "We found another shard of Ilyvania's moon, and with it, a vision, a message. The Pallid King gathers his forces and gains strength with every day. The Harbinger continues to enact the Wayward One's plan. I know this war may seem important to you right now, Cal, but it pales in comparison to the coming wars that will be fought for the very realm we exist in. That's why I need us. I need you," he says, looking at Cal. "I need you," he says, looking at Scarlet. "And I need you," he says, looking at Timber. "And we need Wiswick."
So why, if you don't mind my asking, it must have been very difficult to get through here. Why did you need me? Why couldn't you just find any sword swinger? Not that I don't love seeing you folks, but
"Cal, do you really need to ask that?" And Charon gives him a large grin. "You're a champion of Ilyvania. Have I not made that clear already? We are all. We are the very fabrics of nature. Each one of us. So,
I don't know if I'd... Sure, okay.
Kenneth, you're an exceptional swordsman. One of a kind. It's hard to find.
Thank you, though.
And your previous journey with us, we thought that, based on our previous goals, that you might be more inclined than some random mercenary that we have to pay thousands of. For.
Well, your timing was good. My leave, doesn't actually start until I get this governor back to Vermalcia. But once that's done, I can go anywhere for at least a month or two until they recall me. Perhaps more, with luck.
Vermalcia is to the south, correct?
Yes.
Then we shall join you, as that is where our path will lead as well. Into the
Do we
Beastland.
know? Do we know where in the Beastlands?
The Lake of Glass.
Cal knows where that is.
Yes, you do.
'Kay.
Especially because you are from Stormrain, so you are in
Which
the
is
very
pretty far
edge.
down there anyway, yeah.
You pretty much it's the Stormrain rests in the Gap of Glass, and you would probably even be able to see it from
High
the
up
highest
in it, yeah.
towers in Stormrain. That the first thing that's in the Beastlands is this massive salt flat, essentially. that there was once a sea here in the center of the Beastlands that has dried up over the years and is now called the Fields of Glass because when it rains, it looks like a mirror. But it is a harsh. It's very rare for it to be a field of glass. Most of the time, it is just a wasteland that is inhabited mostly by like merchant traders, and there's a lot of goblins that live in the field of glass. They live in burrows. You would know all of this. Burrows that are like former ditches that are made by a particular type of sandworm like creature that moves through beneath the salt flats. It's not a very safe place.
Are you tremorsing us, Sean?
There are tremor worms in all biomes in my world.
Dope. All right.
They're just slightly
Great.
different.
Okay. Well, that's actually just past Storm Rain. That's usually one of the last big well, it's not outposts. One of the last big stops before people head across the to the Beastlands proper. Yeah. Okay. I could definitely lead you there, though we will have to pass through my hometown, unfortunately. However, apparently I'm supposed to do that anyway. So.
Fantastic.
And Cal makes exactly the face I just made, which for the audience, for the listeners at home, is like a bit of an eye roll, and like a big inhaling of like, ugh, you know, we're gonna have to go do this. So, excellent. Okay.
Good.
All right. So we'll need supplies for the trip to Vermalcia. We'll be able to stock up there. I'll go put in Quartermaster's request. Do we happen to know where Wiswick is?
Kieran,
Honestly?
can you call for him?
I was just gonna let him catch up with us. But yes, I can send him a message.
Probably for the
Excellent. I'm going to send word to Arcos Veterix's folks. If they see a gnome, just let him in and deliver him to us. That way, that he won't have that issue again, theoretically. But it is Wiswick, so who knows?
Indeed.
Excellent. Actually, if you three could come with me while you send that message. I don't know how
Of
long
course.
it takes you, but and Cal would head out through the same door they came in and
As we're leaving,
start walking.
Kieran would quickly mention, and I don't know how useful this information is, but as we were moving past the Oxlandish lines, I overheard some of their patrols talking about firebolts in the night. Seems like you already experienced some of that, but
They hit the 12th last night, a little farther down that way.
yes, because I saw it from our vantage point.
They send a few of those over every other night or every third night just to keep us awake.
This is awful. This whole scene.
Well, it's certainly not a dinner at this. Fuck, what was that hotel?
Starry Silhouette.
It's certainly not a dinner at the Starry Silhouette. Let's say that.
Oh man, I miss that dinner. That was a good.
Scarlet, you think about that warm bubble
The
bath
bubble bath. That's exactly what I was just thinking of.
as you stand in the frigid cold.
As Cal's walking with everybody towards, I guess we'd be going to Arcos Fortis first
Yeah.
because I want to get approval for these folks to come with me. And then if I happen to see like a trooper I know on the way, I would be like, Oikos!
Yeah, you would actually see that you would actually see the trooper that was drunkenly commiserating with you on the first night, as he's kind of now sitting in his position because you know from your conversation that he didn't get a discharge,
Mhm.
that he's on the first rotation at least. As you call out to him, you just, "Hey, Lord Stormrain."
You know it's Lieutenant here, trooper.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Lieutenant.
Look, they're sending me on some escort duty down south, so I'll be gone for a while. If you could get in touch with Aryan and get my name off the boot pool, please.
You're pretty high on that list.
Well,
Sure you
take
don't
me
want
out
to
of the
stop by
rotation.
and see if you can find a nice pair of boots to bring you south?
I'm absolutely positive, thank you. Take my name out, give it to somebody else.
Oh, shit. Lord Stormray's too good for our boots.
Well, look, I've had these for, and really, my tone is clearly like we're joshing now.
Yeah.
Well, I've had these for a while. They're broken in at this point, and I think they're giving me a horse for this fucking escort duty. So I should be riding most of the time. Somebody else should get a better pair than I.
all right. Yeah, I'm sure you got better boots than Stormrain anyway. Good
Well, if
luck
I make
heading
it there.
south.
I wink at him and then go, luck to you, trooper.
Yeah. And kind of as you're walking back, you hear him like shout out to you, like, "Don't take too much care of that Oxland bastard. We heard the rumors of who's with you."
You know about as much as me at this point. But will do. As I turn around and nod to him, like, as we leave.
Someone from Oxland.
The reason I need to head to Vermelsia is I need to escort a Governor Ariel there. I don't believe he's Oxlish, but he certainly has an Oxlandish accent.
I might be able to place it.
Well, I've been unable to get my superior alone since he arrived, so hopefully I'll be able to get some answers out of him. Fortis is a straight shooter, as it were.
Okay. Did you want to send a quick message to Wiswick to head you for
Yes.
camp?
Yep. So Kieran sends him a message.
Tell him I'm mad at him.
I'll be sure to include it. Wiswick. Really? Contact with Caliph. Luckily, he's about to head off on a mission south to Vermelsia. We will be accompanying him. The soldiers here have orders to let you in, so it is safe to return. Please don't do anything else to provoke them. We will be gone shortly, and you will no longer have to worry.
Tell him I'm mad at him.
Oh, yeah. He rolls his eyes and does not.
As Kieran's doing that, you see Cal takes a little. It's barely even a notebook. It's just like sheaves of paper folded on each other, and he's writing with a shitty pencil, I guess, in it. And
Gwinnett pencils.
Yeah. But it's like short, It's like it's
Yeah.
tiny.
Mini golf.
Yeah, exactly. And he rips a piece out, and he there's any trooper standing attention anywhere who seems like they're on duty. I would hand it to him and go, compliments of Lieutenant Cal, 9th and Cursus, to Arcos Veterix. Tell her that the gnome that's coming is free to enter, and if they could please get the horse that they retrieved from the strangers captured this morning and bring it over to Depot 2, please.
They nod, salute, and take the notes and begin running.
Excellent.
Cal,
Shit,
for
there's
a
something else I
brief moment there, as you see this young boy running off, think a little bit about Robert,
Oh,
and you wonder if he's okay. So you know that he's a runner somewhere else in this line. That when you joined the Ferrum Tress, you were separated from him.
I do think
Command
that. Sorry, Kieran, what was that?
Command suits you, Kieran says, as well watching the lad run off.
Can I respond?
Cal gives a non-committal grunt.
Yes, you can respond.
Hey, Kieran. Glad to hear everything's okay. Can you meet me? I'm a little nervous.
Can you hold
They're,
my hand?
they're not gonna take my stuff, are they?
No, Wiswick. They have orders to let you in. It's going to be okay. For once, just trust me.
Wiswick doesn't respond because he doesn't like. I mean, I guess I don't know if that's how the spell works, but
I would have had to reinitiate sending, which I did to respond.
You can
Oh.
respond.
okay. Okay. You sure you don't want to come meet me at the edge? I'm walking there now.
Kieran just rolls his eyes to his companions and goes, Wiswick's coming. He should be here soon.
Wiswick's gonna minor illusion the arcane core to look like something inconspicuous, like, I don't know, a package of some
Okay.
sort.
I imagine when you're carrying the arcane core, you essentially, in its current state at least, have it on your back in kind of like a baby Bjorn.
Well,
that
if it's
has,
a
like,
baby Bjorn, I'm gonna put it in the front.
Or sorry, yeah. If you want, it can be a baby Bjorn, or it could be a backpack that holds it.
I think Wiswick already has a backpack, so sometimes he would probably have it stuffed in there, and it would be like sticking out. But during this situation, he's probably not doing that.
Holding
Like, yeah.
Okay.
Just
problem.
picture him waddling with the stone.
Okay. So while Wiswick is making his way over, Cal, you're bringing them to Arcos Fortis.
Yes, I send another order via runner
Rad.
to the quartermaster requesting more horses and food,
Absolutely.
etc.
Are you going to request a horse for everyone?
Everybody. Well, except for Roko, yeah.
You going to get one for Timber also?
Yep, and if he doesn't use it, we can use it as a pack horse.
Cool.
Or food.
Do you order a full horse or a pony for Wiswick?
If we have a pony, I guess.
Yeah, you don't have ponies.
Yeah, why
so
would
they
we?
actually, you don't. Yeah, you don't actually have ponies, so they would just have horses.
Even like having riding horses, we probably don't have many. Like it's
No, you
mostly
don't
like
have that many.
plow horses and cart horses and shit.
Exactly. Okay, easy enough to do.
Excellent.
Cal leads you all to that original tent that you saw Arcos Veterix go into. And when you are led inside, Cal, do you go in with them or go in first?
I'll go in first.
Okay. All right. So you see that Governor Oriel is kind of sitting at the table with a drink. You see they are trying to work with the mage who had his hands and tongue cut out to get some messages out of him. It seems to learn what he learned. You can. The first thing that you hear is them say, "With your permission, may we use magic upon you?" You nod in the affirmative if you'd be okay with this. That's when you kind of step in. The mage kind of looks past them to you, and Fortis turns back and stands. Lieutenant, you have friends here.
Pardon the
Lieutenant, you have friends
interruption,
here.
Arcos. Yes, these are comrades of mine from northwest before the war. They are luckily headed in the same direction as I, and I felt like I could use the backup escorting the governor to Vermilcia. Would it be appropriate for them to come with us?
Before Fortis can really say anything, Oriel's like, "Oh, well, the more the merrier, I believe."
I side-eye him and then look back at Fortis like, okay, but I would like some orders, please.
Do I recognize his accent?
Give me an insight check. This isn't going to be too hard of a roll.
Natural 20 for 22.
Okay, so Oxlandish accents vary pretty thoroughly throughout the kingdom. You know, to some of them who have a bit more of a Scotch accent from southern regions of Gristrum to more formal British accents. This is a very formal accent. Regardless of the differentiations I am actually making with them, what you can pinpoint is that this is a Caerdolan accent.
Mm.
This is a ritzy accent.
Cool.
Noble. And just looking at the man, he's quite... doesn't look like he's running the plow in the
Yeah.
fields.
Yeah.
He's got and especially now that he's been back from being a prisoner, he's clean shaven. He's probably 30, I'd say, or 30. Actually, probably a little older than that. Mid 30s. He's got dirty blonde hair that's held back or swept back, comes to his shoulders. It's very, very wavy. These very, very light blue eyes. Strong, traditionally attractive, we'll say. But he's not he's not a very muscular man, but he looks fit enough to fight. Someone who does take care of themselves in a way that so they can swing a sword properly. He does have a sword at his waist, and he is wearing at least a breastplate. But otherwise, he's wearing quite nice clothes. And then Fortis would look to you, Caliph, and say, "Well, it is not traditional to have whatever they are join your mission, but I suppose if you can vouch for them and it is just an escort mission, I do not see a reason why they cannot join you. Extra protection is wise, even though I do not foresee any complications."
Excellent, sir. Thank you. One more thing, if I could speak with you in private for a moment.
Certainly. And he'll step outside with you.
Mhm.
The rest of you will stay inside, and you kind of see Governor Oriel is kind of just like, he's just scanning each of you up and down, really taking in, like assessing you. You can tell he's assessing each of you. And you see his face almost changes a little bit there. And he's a bit less, he seemed a little almost like jovial and like prankish almost in the way he responded earlier. But now he's got a very stern look as he's looking to each of you. You would also notice that there is two other men there. There is the wizard who's had his hands and his tongue cut out, who's sitting next to Oriel at the table. And then an older looking gentleman in the corner, minding his own business, so to speak. Cal, you step outside with Fortis.
So I just wanted to see if there was anything I needed to know about the governor himself or the mission overall that you didn't want to bring up in front of civilians.
Give me a quick persuasion roll.
It's a natural 1 plus
Oh.
5.
Okay. Fortis, and you at this point, you two kind of stepped out and away. You're facing each other. Fortis at this point steps to the side, and you see he kind of steps on to a few steps onto some packaging, and he's kind of looking over the trench line a little bit on the horizon. Lieutenant, what do you think we are fighting for in this war? What are you fighting for?
Independence, fundamentally.
Might seem that way. Governor Oriel is a very important politician. No, it's strange. He seems like he is from the north, and at the very least, I will tell you he is of the north.
A de facto, sir.
Of sorts. He is pivotal in this effort. You are fighting for independence, then you are fighting for every man and woman in these trenches, but you are also fighting for Governor Oriel. Fighting for your duke, you're fighting for the Basilius of Byzantium. His survival is important for the war effort. It's all you need to know.
Understood, sir.
In time, Lieutenant, you'll have your answers.
Understood, sir. Anything else before we depart?
I believe that is all.
Thank you, sir, and luck to you. And I'll see you. Hopefully, I'll see you by springtime.
Well, with any luck, we'll all be going home in the spring.
Yes, sir. Cal at this point is a little too jaded to be like, "Yeah, we're going home in the spring." Yeah, right.
Gather your things. You can leave later this afternoon. Make a little bit of headway south. And I will see you
You too,
in
sir.
the spring. And he'll come up and kind of give you a quick pat on the shoulder, and kind of just like stays there for a moment, not really looking at you, but sort of just a quick moment where he, instead of a hug, it's just you're assuring.
Yeah.
And you can step back inside. He steps back inside.
Yeah, I follow.
Is anything any rest of you will do?
Huron probably would have started to engage the governor in small talk.
Yeah, absolutely. The governor would kind of like pry each of you in some way and just be like, "Oh, well, you know Lord Stormrain. Seems so all very good friends."
Yes, when we first met him, he was masquerading as a commoner, doing odd jobs.
Well, suppose Lord Stormrain and myself have more in common than I thought.
Oh, you also chose to disavow your parents and your right to rule the lands.
In a way,
Oh, very interesting.
but more meant masquerading as commoners.
Oh,
Us politicians, they like to keep us away from the grit, keep us away out of danger. But I don't like other men fighting for me.
that's a good attitude to have. To truly understand the world, one must live within it. I fear that is something my people have long forgotten.
Yes. This is quite far south for an Elysian.
I seek to go even further.
And he would switch to Elvish at that point. Say, well, I do hope whatever you're looking for, you find it in the south, Elysian.
Responding in Elvish. No, responding in Common, Kirugo. I appreciate that, Governor. And I hope you've learned something from your time here. These wars, I'm sure you have your reasoning. The loss of life on such a scale. It does hurt one's heart.
Can you see? Give me a quick insight check after that.
Uh, 13.
You kind of notice on his face a moment of not disassociation, but the mention of the war and the pain it causes. He does seem to look through you almost in that moment, and he's nodding slightly, but his eyes are elsewhere. You're not wrong, Elysian. The horrors of these battles are harrowing and painful. Hopefully, whatever the world looks like after this, it's worth it.
Sometimes I feel as long as the world is still standing, that's all we can ask for at times.
Of course. And it's at this point that Arcos Fortis steps back in with Lieutenant Cal Stormrain and looks to each of you and says, well, I do not know any of you, but Lieutenant Stormrain trusts you with this mission, and then therefore I trust you to escort Governor Oriel to the safely to Velmacia. Whatever business you have after that is your own. If you'll excuse me, I have work to do. As he sits down and, before he even leaves, just starts to talk to the wizard without the tongue. And as you're leaving, you can see he kind of like rests his head against that wizard's head, and you can see he's muttering words and casting a spell on the individual.
Can Kieran hang back a moment to see what
Sure.
he's doing and how successful it is?
Yeah. Go ahead and give me an Arcana check while you're watching.
5.
While he's doing this, the governor does look over to you. You're a curious Elysian as well.
I simply thought that I might be able to assist in some way. I have quite a range of magics available to me from my goddess.
You can see Arcos Fortis is, you can see light radiating underneath his hand slightly, this very pale white light, and his forehead is on the other man's forehead as he pulls away, and you can see there's a slight tear coming from his eyes. Thank you for allowing me within. This information will save many lives. You there, soldier, bring him to the medical tent. You see the gray-bearded man steps up and helps lift up the wounded wizard. And they step out past you, Kieran. The Arcos looks drained by the spell he cast. We will need to get you out of here as soon as possible, Governor. It seems it is more than just firebombs they are going to fire at us. Friend of Lieutenant Stormrain, if you would not mind, but help Governor Oriel. Keep him close to you so you can leave quicker.
Of course. Once our last companion arrives, we will set off immediately. I don't know if the lieutenant told you, as we snuck past the Oxlandish line, I overheard some of their patrols speaking about firebolts they would be launching against you. I see the destruction that their trebuchets have done. If this is some other form of magic, it seems you already know, but I just wanted to let you know.
We appreciate the warning. There will be more attacks like that. Seems that they might be doing a bit more than that. So, we would like you to leave as soon as possible. Please relay that to Lieutenant Caliph.
Of course. Governor?
Yeah, so you can rejoin the rest of the group. And a lot of you are just going to be getting ready until Wiswick arrives, essentially.
Yeah.
Cal has one more stop to make.
Okay.
I will do so now. I didn't know if you wanted to cut away.
I'm at this point, I'm going to say Wiswick has arrived, and they're not giving him too much fuss. They're kind of
Waving him through.
waving him through, and maybe one of the soldiers is going with him to lead him to where you all are appropriately, so he doesn't get lost. Wiswick, I imagine you're pretty paranoid still and kind of clutching onto the arcane core while all this is happening. But you get a few looks, Wiswick, but for the most part, you're safely escorted. Most of the soldiers don't even seem to see you.
Great.
Cal, what would you like to do?
Yeah, I want to stop at wherever my unit's old barracks were, or whatever, wherever our
Yeah.
area was.
Absolutely.
I'm looking for Araman.
You would be able to find him. He is kind of alone in that barracks, in that kind of
Yeah.
area. There's all the bunks are emptied, and you see he's just kind of like he's walking to each of them, and he's just sort of seems not out of it necessarily, but he's just sort of almost like compulsively checking each of the beds.
Would this
Making sure
compulsion
they're
be
like-
out of character for him?
He's a pretty compulsive dude.
Okay.
So it's definitely maybe not a good sign necessarily. He mostly was just, the type who might, make his bed 3 times before moving on. But this seems more a little grief-stricken, as he seems to be almost like making each of their beds.
Well, then Cal would enter and be like, Ari,
Lieutenant,
how are you doing, sir? How are you doing, friend?
how do you know? I'm supposed to be moved to a different unit further away.
Yes, I believe that they should be rotating you back for at least a couple weeks. Hopefully.
Well, I just wanted to make sure that it was looked well here.
I'm sure the next unit through will definitely thank you. Well, look, brother, I'm leaving now. And Cal's not quite sure what to do, because you don't say goodbyes in the army. People are just gone. So he, or in this army, I should say, and he kind of just like, so I he's hesitating almost, which is uncommon of him in this environment. I suppose I just wanted to wish you luck. Hopefully they'll actually give you some leave soon, or at least bring you back to somewhere where you could just prep supplies or something. If anyone gives you guff, write me and I'll see what I can do.
Yes, sir. That'll just leave me to my tinkering, hopefully.
Yes. I go for the hero shake. We clasp arms, and it's a little more than that. I put my forehead on his, kind of a thing,
Mhm.
Don't say anything,
Yeah.
and then I just pat him on the shoulder and turn around and leave.
Yeah, there's definitely a moment where you almost feel he drops some of his weight as soon as you do that, almost just like you're supporting him.
Yeah.
And then as you leave and quietly.
And then I head to the depot, or if my friends were with me, I take them to the depot.
So, you're pretty much just waiting on Wiswick now. You have everything ready. You have your horses. Each of you have new horses. Other than they do. You surmise that they're likely bringing Roko with Wiswick, and that is true. Wiswick, you are being escorted with Roko, and the governor is there and ready to go. And it's probably about I'd say at this point it's about midday. If Huron, give me a perception check.
You got it, boss. Let's go. 17.
17 is pretty good.
Yeah, but when you have a +3 modifier, that means you rolled a 4.
Oh my god.
Okay. Well. So, Huron, you. Well, I guess what is everyone doing right now? Are you just waiting by the horses, getting ready? Is there anything anyone else would like to do before Or you're just all getting your horse.
Cal's reviewing our logistics. I'm making sure we have enough of everything. And then once that's done, I'm removing as much of the shit I carry on me as possible, and I'm tying it to various places on my horse.
Wiswick's probably just following Kieran around, asking for recaps of what's going on.
So yeah, I would say at this point, Wiswick would arrive. Huron, you would have Rocco.
Rocco, I'm very happy to see you again.
Wiswick, I am giving you very, very big stink eye.
Yeah, Timber actually punches you in the gut.
Oh.
I don't get a reaction or anything to that. You know,
What's
No.
your AC?
16 with mage armor.
He did cast
You
it.
preemptively came in with mage armor knowing you're gonna get punched.
He did cast it this morning. Go ahead and roll an attack roll, Timber.
Oh, I will gladly. That's a natural 20, so it's a 30 to hit.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah, let's just say he successfully knocks the wind out of you.
Yeah.
And
Oh, more than
Drop to the
knocks the
ground.
wind out of him. Like, drop him on the ground. Next
It's
time
at
you-
this point. It's at this point that Cal is done tying things to his horse, and so walks over while Wiswick is gasping for air on the ground, and he goes, "Well, little friend, good to see you again. I see very little's changed."
Go!
That's what he gets for jeopardizing the party again.
I pick the gnome up.
I give you a very satisfied
him.
look, Timber.
And Timber drinks more of his. He's been drinking this entire time. He's just horrified, and also he's just terrified as well.
Yeah. Timber, at this depot, you all can see kind of like the zigzag exit of these trenches that lead out to the southern lands, and you would see that it's not as scattered. It's mostly been cleared, but first thing you would notice is a fully decomposed horse covered in snow.
Oh.
That's about like 50 feet away from the back line. It's mostly bone at this point. And while you're all observing Timber knock the shit out of Wiswick, and then Kieran, you maybe smile a moment at this, and then maybe look to Timber worriedly as he starts to guzzle whiskey. But then you would notice some light flicker. You would look on the horizon back and see little points of red light falling towards you all.
Immediately casts his minor illusion to make his voice booming and yells, Incoming!
To this, Cal, you would turn and look and see that your camp is in line of fire of a firebombing.
This depot.
This depot, yeah.
So Cal, in his new officer's voice, is screaming, "Down, down, 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 down," over and over again, as he leaps off his horse and is just like hitting the ground and covering up because there's no trench around here conveniently, so we have to just get down.
Timber's dragging Wiswick's body over to the side as he's crashed over.
Kieran casts Circle of Power.
Oh, okay.
Which in a 30-foot, is it radius? Radiates energy within 30 feet of you. We all have advantage on saving throws against spells and other magical effects.
Nice.
As he pulls Rocco in close to him, casts this spell, and kind of hunkers down.
Okay. It's as you all kind of drop to the ground and find your positions, you just kind of see all of these lights of fire as they're kind of spreading out, and you can see there's probably like 30 of them dropping as you just immediately feel you kind of hold your breath, and then as immediately you see the fire expands out and it shoots out like a wave from each impact point. All of you will need to make dexterity saving throws.
With advantage.
Yes, yes.
Well, as long
Uh,
as they're 30 feet of me, I guess.
No, no, no.
like-
Yeah. Wiswick, you would, as this fire licks against the protection tower around here, you do hear muffling from your bag as you hear a voice, just kind of barely eking out. Master Netherrock, you seem to be in danger. Would you like me to protect you?
That's very good. Yes, I would like you to protect me.
Okay. So as the fire comes down, everyone give me your dexterity saving throws.
Natural 20 again for 28.
Nice. Cal, what did you get?
I got a stupid 14 because a stupid site is terrible.
Uh-huh.
I don't know,
Yep.
it's working pretty good for me.
Huron, what'd you get?
11.
11.
Oh boy. Wiswick, what'd you get? You'll still make the roll, Wiswick.
Okay. Well, I got a 16.
Okay. All right. 15 and above, you make the save and only take half damage. 15 and below, you'll take the full damage.
Actually, with whatchamacallit, Circle of Power, if you succeed, you take no damage, and if you fail, you take half damage.
I was also going
Excellent.
to evade, so I was not going to take any damage either.
How do
Okay.
you evade an artillery strike?
Because I'm that good.
Only if you succeed, my apologies. Only success nullifies it.
Sean,
Failure still.
Sean, how much damage?
The total damage for the fire that hits you all is 39 points of fire damage.
Okay.
You would all notice that Wiswick's backpack explodes as rock seems to be lifted from the earth almost magnetically and carved almost, like it seems like it's starting to like being formed by an invisible chisel. As you see that little that topaz like rock that's pretty big that he's been hulking around is suddenly become a full-fledged construct that stands up tall and completely covers Wiswick. Wiswick, you take no damage.
Sweet.
The rock is going to take all the damage.
Okay. Did it get a dexterity saving throw or anything like that?
No, because it was protecting you.
Okay. It does have a feature about that, but we'll talk about it later.
Yeah. We don't need to settle that now because we're probably not going to
Yeah, combat
fully,
anyway. Yeah.
fully. But the fire is absolutely ripping through the trench, though. It is essentially, 25 to 30 fireballs that all hit at once in this area. Which actually, speaking of, there would be another round of damage that you would all would take. Your saving throws will be the same, but because they hit simultaneously. So it's another 36 points of fire damage.
Down.
What? Oh my god.
That
does
was like
this have a-
73 points or whatever, 70 something points of damage.
Yeah.
Does this also have a half damage if you succeed?
Yeah, no, every evasion works all the time.
Yeah,
So,
okay, yeah.
yeah, we
Just
always
checking.
half it.
Yeah.
Cool.
So you watch as the Huron goes down. You see your horses are immediately running away in fear. Half of them have already been killed by this. I'll say Rocco made it because he'll be the last member of this party to live in this campaign, I think.
Shadow and Jasper and
I guess they're all enjoying a nice
Jasper's
vacation.
fine.
yeah,
Shadow's fine too.
Yeah, they're all just pack horses up in the north now. But this fire is devastating and ripping through the trenches ahead of you and through this depot. You can see big, tall flames now burning everywhere that are these deep red flames that almost can't be put out as it's scorching through and collecting and gathering down the trenches at this point as you all watch Huron go down and try to find as much cover as you can. And that is where we're going to end tonight.
Oh.
Kieran's always dying.
I am.
You're gonna meet Shield.
Oh, yeah. The light of Illyvania. A certain amount of protection.
Yeah, if nothing else, I always get up.
I am the god. I
Yeah,
will
me
be the
too.
host of Illyva. Oh.
No, but yes. Thank you everyone for sticking around. Thank you for that raid, that last minute raid there, IPA_lot. Unfortunately, we're ending now. But yes, our party did just get whacked with essentially an artillery strike of 25 to 30 fireballs that hit this line. We will continue with what you will do because of that in the start of the next session. Thank you everyone for joining us. Just a few announcements of upcoming program to be aware of. As per usual, this Thursday we have Relaxing in Paradise at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have the Tim and Shannon Power Hour this Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Of course, we've got Flagship Show next Monday again, so join us again at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have a One Shot in Paradise coming up next month on March 13th at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So keep an eye out for that. That'll be a really fun game. We've got some really great people. And of course, Shannon and I will be playing in Mackenzie D'Armand's Jasper's Game Day stream on March 6th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So a lot of programming with a lot of great Paradise folks coming up. So keep an eye on that. Join us again. And I hope you enjoyed this episode tonight. And we'll see you again soon. Good night.